When laning, use Soul Scroll to slow and mark enemies, so your next Petal Blade bounce does full damage even if they're hiding in the back. In a 1v1, use your shield's new sustain to get the upper hand. In teamfights, land your second skill first to make the enemy easy targets for your ultimate and let your Petal Blades go to town. Tactics. Since Hanabi's early game is rather weak, focus on farming, but not for the whole game, Hanabi mains. Poke the enemy in lane with basic attacks and her second skill. In the late game, use Hanabi's ultimate to engage and CC, and unleash your barrage of basic attacks and kunai to provide excellent sustained DPS for your team. We recommend this attack speed focused build to complement her reworked passive and first skill. Marksman Emblem further enhances her sustained DPS role, and Weakness Finder prevents her targets from escaping. Inspire is a natural choice to bolster both damage and survivability, thanks to her new shield. Hanabi, the Scarlet Flower, revamp coming December 20th. She'll be 30% off the first week, along with her Resplendent Iris skin. Give the new Hanabi a whirl and tell us what you think. Until next time, we'll be seeing you in the Land of Dawn. Hanabi, the Scarlet Flower, revamp December 20th.
If you cannot.
This still works out, right? All of that in the last 2 minutes just makes a breeze for the first turtle here. So that's already huge, at least in terms of economy. But here in the mid lane, Yumski going to be the focus again. Oh, can he get away? One hit, he's going to bob and weave and survive.
The moves and grooves.
Moves behind. And yeah, I can see here the Lord is already contested.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like Bray is chilling. He's doing so much for his team with splitting those waves, but once again, the contest for the Lord.
The fight. Oh my god, catches Subin with that Tyrant's Rage. Mortar bombs everywhere. Baby Cake, the first one down. Not a good sign as 1, 2, 3, 4 bodies has already been collected, and Bray gets shut down.
And he didn't, I don't even think it was Ken who finished off Hessa. He finished off D7, and this allows another free turtle.
But now they're going for it. Certainly he's going to be popped here. Ken able to secure the turtle, but Zip goes down as Chima able to find the kill. Another wild charge comes forth as D7 falls. Tempest Blade's going to be popped here. Ken looking for Hessa. Can't get the last hit though as he falls into the river.
That split, but all the weakness points. Oh my god, again! It's Prince Fran who comes in clutch and saves the day. Onyx Esports have nowhere to go right now, but Dragon's gonna be taken down. It's a shadow kill over to Harley, as now Mount Venus have to move back. The Iron Hook does not connect. It's gonna be the way the Dragon locking Prince Fran down, and that's a double kill picked up by Dreon, the Lord as well. Dreon is an absolute monster. monster as he's looking to claim a Maniac.
Kind of be a little bit patient because right now I kind of feel like Rosa as well as Sunshine, they have enough damage. They just need a proper setup. And in terms of proper setup, you shouted out Oheb. If they can catch him, that's great. But it's easier said than done. But oh my Venus, it's all for them.
That's all the damage popped in, and the backline's completely going to be obstructed here by Blacklist International. Oheb free hitting his alien's going to be bursted down. Oh my God. Getting caught in the fatal links as Genji's the only man left standing. Blacklist International, they take no prisoners.
M-Series Flashback, The Dark Horse.
Welcome to Mobile Legends.
2019, in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Nobody guessed that Todak, a debutant for MPL Malaysia-Singapore, then would qualify for M1. They topped their group stage with aggressive gameplay.
They get a mega kill. They're walking in to win this game. Todak take game 1.
And end up being the second runner-up of the first ever M-Series. Fast forward to M2. After dominating the Myanmar MLBB scene for a few seasons, Burmese Ghoul finally shines at the world stage.
And they decimate Brand Esports from underneath their own tower.
It's going to be Flaptizi who's going to get caught out here, stuck against the... That's going to be GG. Burmese Ghouls take the 5th round.
Dominated the competition and extended the grand finals to a full 7-game series. And in M3, North America represents. BTK rises above all expectations when they defeated Blacklist International in the upper bracket.
The break for it. They flicker on for it. They find another kill. That's 2. They can get the 3rd. Mobazane. They have done it.
And pummeled their way to the lower bracket finals without any coach and team staff. M4 is finally coming. Which team do you think will rise to greatness and be the next dark horse? See you at M4.
It's my time, I'm a ball. I'ma get this money right. I'm gonna live my best life. They been talking, tell me on me, but you know they'll never win. I'm controlling all my victories, and something has gotta give. Cause this is just what I made it now, made it now. You can't ever break us down, break us down. I'll be reaching for the stars, promise I'll be what they not, and I'll never ever stop. Won't never stop, yeah.
Touch the sky, you're a man of silver. Touch the sky, you're the greatest option now. You and I can make it out of the sky. Hang tight, we gonna reach for the greatness. We will always rise, we will never fall.
basement waiting for greatness. No, I won't listen to anyone hating on me, telling me I wouldn't make it. Cause I did everything that they said I couldn't. Caught my footing and I kept the controls. I stand for something, I ain't running now. I'm the greatest now, I just wanna make it proud. Don't let me down, don't let it up. I'm on the road, accomplished all of my goals, and I ain't gonna let you down.
Touch the sky, you're made of silver and gold. Touch the sky, you're the greatest function now. You and I, we can make it out of the cold. Hang tight, we gonna reach for the greatness. We will always rise, we will never fall. The fire in our eyes will be as strong. Even though we know our base against the wall. And again, pick your aim, you know that this is
coming for the game, cause we ready for the victory.
My time, I'm a ball. I'ma get this money right. I'm gonna live my best life. They've been talking, tell me on me, but you know they'll never win. I'm controlling all my victories, and something has gotta give. Cause this is just what I made it now, made it now. You can't ever break us down, break us down. I'll be reaching for the stars. Promise I'll be what they not, and I'll never ever stop. Won't never stop. Yeah.
touch the sky, you're made of silver and gold. Touch the sky, you're the greatest function now. You and I, we can make it out of the cold. Hang tight, we gonna reach for the greatness. We will always rise, we will never fall. The fire in our eyes will be as strong. Even though we know our base against the wall. And again, you take your aim, you know that this is.
I've been down, been waiting so long. I'm here for the crown, I'm here to show off. Greatness time, just waiting to show y'all. This is your time to remember.
So many times I lie in the basement waiting for greatness. No, I won't listen to anyone hating on me, telling me I wouldn't make it. Cause I did everything that they said I couldn't. Caught my footing and I kept the controls. I stand for something, I ain't running now. I'm the greatest now, I just wanna make it proud. Don't let me down, don't let it up. I'm on the road, accomplished all of my goals, and I ain't gonna let you down.
Touch the sky, you're made of silver and gold. Touch the sky, you're the greatest function now. You and I, we can make it out of the cold. Hang tight, we gonna reach for the greatness. We will always rise, we will never fall. The fire in our eyes will be as strong. Even though we know our base against the wall. And again, pick your aim, you know that this is
Coming for the game, cause we ready for the victory.
My time, I'm a ball. I'ma get this money right. I'm gonna live my best life. They've been talking, tell me on me, but you know they'll never win. I'm controlling all my victories, and something has gotta give. Cause this is just what I made it now, made it now. You can't ever break us down, break us down. I'll be reaching for the stars. Promise I'll be what they not, and I'll never ever Cause I did everything that they said I couldn't. Caught my footing and I kept the controls. I stand for something, I ain't running now. I'm the greatest now, I just wanna make you proud. Don't let me down, don't let it all fall. I'm on the road, accomplished all of my goals, and I ain't gonna let you down.
Touch the sky, you're made of silver and gold. Touch the sky, you're the greatest future now. You and I, we can make it out of the cold. Hang tight, we gonna reach for the greatness. We will always rise, we will never fall. We fire in our eyes and we are strong. Even though we know our backs against the wall. And again, pick your aim, you know that this is
Coming for the game, cause we ready for the victory.
Hands off, I ain't giving up. They say that I finished what they wanted, I
Welcome back to the Mobile Legends M4 World Championship. We will now determine who will move on to the grand finals of M4, who will be the defending champion to officially create a dynasty, or will be the new challengers along with M2's MVP, Carl Teasy. M2's MVP has made his return to the world stage with 4 M-Series rookies to back him up in his way to getting his second title. Carl Teasy now prioritizes his teammates over stats of being the best jungler since he's been there and would instead want his team to be the best in the world. Standing in his way are the defending champions, Blacklist International, but he will make sure that all of their names in his team will echo. Now, M3's MVP is with his entire championship team to establish the first dynasty in professional Mobile Legends. The Filipino sniper takes advantage of each opportunity presented to him to pick up his enemies out in the open. On their way for a final defense of the crown, the current defending world champions, Blacklist International.
And of course, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the desk. It is Jace, Gideon, and Assassin Dave. We will be bringing you the Analyst later on throughout, but we're going to open it up first. It is hype in the stadium, and of course, it is none other than Echo going up against Blacklist. What is the desk feeling, boys?
Honestly, I can't imagine what the desk might be feeling, but here at the stand, I think we all know that this could be a repeat, or maybe foreshadowing of a potential Grand Finals, Philippines versus Philippines.
Hey, MPLP Season 10, right? Grand Finals, what's going on? This is a repeat. Just give you a sneak peek of what's going to happen next. Just remind everybody what's at stake here, right? The winner gets to go to the grand final, and the loser will get to drop to the loser bracket, fight the grand final of the loser bracket, and they're gonna face Indonesia again, which is gonna be really challenging because we saw what happened in the semifinal of the winner bracket.
Yeah, it just boils down to this, right? Technically speaking, this is still like the upper bracket, so not the end of the world, but it could be the end of the world in terms of that brand. Because personally, Blacklist International has proven them, were champions in the previous M. Now they got to defend. And looking at their contender, Echo, they're looking quite strong.
They really are. And honestly, let's have a look at the hot topic right now, because the rightful ace could go in many different angles.
Yeah.
And, just like the VO and the Arrival, Carl Teasy, yes, he's supposed to be the best of the best when it comes down to assassins. Same can be said about Kyrie, but the meta has sort of shifted, and now Carl Teasy is putting his team on his back and saying, hey, I'll make you look the best.
Yep. What about Blacklist? What do you think about this angle coming out from the rightful ace?
I think Blacklist is the foundation of solid game plan, right? They have never really surprised their fan base, or should I say, the entire community who like to watch Blacklist with their strategy, but they've all been so solid every step along the way. If you want to watch textbook gameplay of how to do Mobile Legends properly, correctly in esports scene, you watch Blacklist International, because they're so good, they're so disciplined, and I heard they have the best shot caller in their world.
Of course, Oh My Venus is their de facto shot caller, but let's take a look at the talents prediction. It should be an equal split, I expect, all across the board. But currently, as of now, Blacklist International is still ahead. Sunfrost and ST14 going for the Orcas instead.
I don't know, this is really tough prediction to make, because again, we've seen Echo bring Blacklist all the way, very close to the finish line, but Blacklist still topping it at the end of the day. So the question will be whether or not this is going to be a repeat of the MPLPH, or are things going to change?
All right, I'm gonna stop you right there, Dave. You're going for the Orcas, right? So what makes you put this in?
Well, it's a really hard choice to begin with, right? Because these two teams are just so head-to-head with each other. But I think Echo is more flexible.
Yeah, and another thing that you also mentioned, like Blacklist International, they brought in this, textbook play. They're super solid. You saw them in their game. They literally knows how to deal with junglers, well, assassins that relies on the purple buffs, right?
No, and I want to continue on my point, right? With Echo, every single player is a star. You look at Yaoi, the playmaker. It's just that even if you know their strategy, no Blacklist strategy. You can't break the wall. You can't break the Wu-Bei shred. They're so good, and they're so tight together with their rotation. They always play the numbers game. Speaking of numbers game, here we go.
Yep. Oh my goodness, the de facto shot caller from Blacklist. Guinea, what does the number say?
I mean, the numbers immediately tell you the role of Oh My Venus, right? Average assist, going through the roof. Not to mention teamfight participation, but I think one people might underestimate is the hero pool of Oh My Venus. Let's say this Estes gets banned out, I'm fairly certain Oh My Venus has deep pockets as well.
I think like if you're really going to go into the Wu-Bei strategy, of course, you know, you definitely need some backup. Now, Echo supporter right here, Yahweh. What you mentioned that he's the very good
the playmaker, absolutely. Let's take a look at the chart as well. The teamfight participation, all of a sudden, compared to Oh My Venus, dropping about 10%, right? Just to show you the strategy Blacklist is going through. And you know, the reason why I think Echo is going to have an upper edge going against Blacklist is because they go against each other so well. But with Echo, they do have a little bit more flexible rotation and more solid engage with Yaoi's Xiao. But that's easily bannable as well.
Yeah, and okay, we're going to go into the game very, very soon. We're going to go over to the casters very, very soon. I think I've got one big question. We spotted a super fan from the Philippines that's rolling around the stage. And now this time around, it's going to be two Filipino teams going back to each other. And with that said, we're going to be throwing to the casters. So ladies and gentlemen, take it away.
Yes, here we're ladies and gentlemen, and we're taking it away. Thank you very much to the analysts, and yes, welcome to the final match of today, where both teams will try to seal their slots in the grand finals. Now, I'm pretty sure everyone has heard never say never, but never forget about us. My name is Lafel, this is Leo, this is Arashi, and speaking of never go out of style when you wear in-game with Gank, a lifestyle fashion brand made for the modern gamer, and is the M4 World Championship official merchandise partner. Grab the M4 merchandise at www.gag.asia today. M4 Pass is available now. Complete all active tasks and you'll reach 75 at ease and for free. Logging now, exclusive rewards like the Beatrix Light Chaser and Stella Brilliant Skin and M4 Beatrix figurine are waiting for you. Hashtag Mobile Legends Bang Bang, hashtag MLBBM4, hashtag Dare to be great. Arashi, Leo, it's nice to be on the desk with you. Leo, how do you feel about this game?
Again, I can't hide the fact that I am happy and proud to be Filipino, but we have to consider the fact that one of these teams will be dropping into the lower bracket by the end of the evening, and they'll be facing the wrath of possibly Aniki Sports or RRQ Hoshi. So with that being said, tonight, I'm just happy to see an MPL Philippines Season 10 Grand Finals rematch.
With that being said, we got to look at the starting lineup where both teams, I feel like for everyone that is a fan of Mobile Legends Bang Bang, let's introduce Echo.
Sanji, Sanford, Benny Cutie, Carl TZ, and Yaoi, the solid squad coming in from Echo. They'll be trying to actually go and do their signature Echo Express playstyle, right? And try and maybe outpace Blacklist, because we saw, again, it's going to be so difficult to measure kind of aggression. But of course, for Blacklist, Haji, Edward, Oheb, Wise, and Oh My Venus, also a very solid squad that has so much experience under their belt.
Yeah, speaking of experience, right? Because the way that they play is amazing. The way that I see Echo plays, even if the map is dark, it still shines bright. But looking at here, Blacklist International walking into the stadium with confidence, walking with swag.
Right at the lead as they march onto the stage is the M3 Grand Finals MVP. That's the Filipino sniper. My baby brother, that's Oheb. I once dubbed this team the most dominant team in the game, and I still think that rings true today.
Hey, right now they're ever so closer to becoming champions again. Let's give a big round of applause to Blacklist International.
I mean, after the performance, we've seen them perform again and again. It's just so flexible and so dynamic. And of course, some people would expect that they're just, would say that they're one-dimensional. But in a way, it also means that they're very, very consistent. And sometimes consistency can be key.
And right now we're looking at Echo. If you want to be consistent, sure, go ahead. But we're going to break your formation as long as we know what you're going to do. We're going to break everything forward, especially seeing how Sanford, when he gets heroes like the Joy, disrupts the back line. Echo walking into the stage, into the stadium, looking not afraid at all.
Nope. confidence, redemption in the eyes of Bagyong Benny. And I can hear Limang Echo fans all around the world, the Orcas, shouting, this might be it. This might actually be the change of fate, because in the grand finals they lost. Maybe tonight they can be Blacklist.
Maybe tonight we can see Echo taking Blacklist. Now, with that being said, let's give a round of applause to Echo!
I mean, this team, again and again, you see them just pull out the impossible, and at every turn, they'll just really surprise you, and they are a very highly rated team amongst a lot of the talents in the M4 lineup right now. But of course, it's all thanks to the coaching staff, as well as we'll say some thanks to our referee for today's match.
Oh yeah, keeping the competition of the highest integrity. We have here Filipino excellence, right? In coaching, in guidance, in training. That's Coach Treb, Coach Tic Tac, Coach Bonchan, Coach Master the Basics. Woo!
Looking at the lineup, I've actually been hearing a lot of things, because even in interviews, where Blacklist is like, yeah, the problem is people keep not banning the Estes. But the thing is, they also said, once you ban the Estes, then we'll bring our secret strat out. And I don't know, like, it's a secret strat. It could be anything. It could be a Zask.
Whoa, a Zask?
I mean, if you're gonna go crazy, might as well go all the way, right?
You're not wrong, but of course, I really do think that if their key strategies do get banned out, they will have solutions. As we take a look at the team head-to-head right here, and you can see, like our analyst mentioned, a bit of a different playstyle. The average kills for Echo is just so much higher due to their more aggressive playstyle. But the Lord control rate, for example, that just shows again that control and calculation, that is the name of the game for Blacklist International.
Like yin and yang, these two teams that qualified for the World Championships from MPL Philippines are total opposites, right? One is explosive, the other is controlled, and you'll see it just in the way their hexagon stats just show, right?
And this is why it's great to watch different teams going up against each other, because there's not one way you should play Mobile Legends. There's so many ways because of all of the heroes and how you pilot them. Looking at the stats as well, like you said, very, very explosive. So I want to see in this lineup who can get the control or who can explode even faster.
I mean, taking a look at the most picked and banned heroes for Echo right here, you can see that for the most picks, it's all aggression in the top. Yuzong, Fredjun, and Cho, of course. Carry and Yves are just absolutely solid. And look at the bans. They have no issue just banning out aggressive heroes as well to ensure that they will have the superior matchup, especially in those early game skirmishes.
Yep, what the bans say, for me at least, is take care of Benny, take care of Sanji, take care of Sanford. Those are their most explosive players. And then you have Yaoi and Kartizi, who are the stars, so to speak, the brothers for Echo that, again, most opponents kind of forget because they've been there for a while.
And now we're looking at Blacklist International. Is it a surprise that the SS has been picked the most 7 alongside with the Benedetta? And I kind of feel like as long as you guys don't ban it, there's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't pick it up.
And not to mention the Farsa as well in the hands of Haji. We saw earlier, I think in RRQ's game, this Farsa in the right hands, in the hands of an aggressive player, is just such a menace in the early game, can completely take over the game from that mid lane. And I think that is still something that Blacklist can definitely explore.
Yeah, no, those main picks, the most picks for Blacklist, is a complete lineup, right? Take it from top to bottom. Yep. That's from Rome all the way down to XP, and that's essentially what Echo has to deal with.
Right now we got to look at the keys to victory, because even the first one, Contest Fredrin, where in M4 is a really hot pick. He is 5 out of 5 so far. What do you feel about his rushing?
It's a very strong hero, and it's very flexible as well. It's both prio and flex, so it's just the best of both worlds. Of course, along with that, all eyes on Yaoi to find the pick-off and decode the Ube strategy. Let the Bandicutie Hurricane just pop off. That is something that they will definitely need to do, right? If they can get some momentum going on, that is where the calculations start falling apart.
Now we're going to look at Blacklist International. Their keys to victory continue to evolve the Ube, which is going to be challenged here, because as far as I've seen, if you can engage onto Blacklist first, then you have a better chance of winning. But OHEB must show Carl Tizzy who's the better M-Series MVP.
I'm very conflicted, all right? The fact that Carl Tizzy has now evolved, grown, and developed into his current team player status against OHEB, who still is a very integral core player for Blacklist. If he goes, if Haji goes, there's almost zero damage from Blacklist, so it's going to be hard for them to rely on this key to victory.
So it's a bit of a conscious, a bit of a counter as well. But of course, it all lies in the hands of the coaches. And here we see Coach Bonchan, the brilliant mind behind Blacklist. And he is the reason why they have such a solid draft. And of course, Coach Tic Tac from Echo as well. They have to go head-to-head in that drafting chess match. And I'll quote Jace again here. Most of the game, 60 to 70% of the game can be decided through that draft.
Can I just say, the fact that there's a tag team duo of two very intelligent coaches from each side is a blueprint for a lot of successful teams in the world stage right now. Teams should be taking note. The world should be taking note.
Yeah, it kind of does feel not great when you're like the only coach slash analyst slash everything else. But we're going to talk about that a little bit later because we're going into the draft between Blacklist International going up against Echo, where both teams know each other so well. Let's look at the bans.
Off the bat, I'm really wondering what kind of particular bans are going to come out. And for Echo, they seem very targeted. And for the side of Blacklist, you can say it's targeted, but for the most part, you can still say it's just textbook, right? As the Joy here gets banned as well from the side of Echo.
Yeah, looking at the bans coming in from Echo, because again, as a first pick, you can dictate the draft. You can start the momentum, you can start the tempo, because the draft that they've been banning out is, sure, strong picks, but also signaling whatever lineup that they have might have a backline that will not be able to survive when getting engaged by a Benedetta or a Joy.
Yeah, and I guess both teams understand that the front to back isn't as simple anymore in the current metagame, right? You're afraid of heroes like Glue, which is still open. Woo! You're afraid of heroes like Ling in the right hands. So with that being said, I'm guessing this first pick has to play with either the box concept or drawing lines to counter that.
I think for sure that's been a recurring theme, right? 3 very solid frontliners and long distance, long range from the back. There seems to be a formula that has been very popular in the current meta. But for Echo right here, they go for the Eve, trying to get some utility, some range as well. It can be used to zone marksman, but we'll have to see if Blacklist has an answer for it. The open glue, as Leo mentioned, has been picked up, along with a Claude.
All right, so right now, looking at the draft, picking up the Eve first is kind of safe, kind of risky as well, because the Eve is very strong in terms of damage, as well as the utility. And before we even talk more about the draft, Benny Cutie, a quote here, I'm not the best gold laner in the world because I don't have an MPL trophy or any other title, so I won't admit it before I win the title on this M4. Strong words from Benny Cutie, where he's like, I'm not gonna feel comfortable until I win.
But again, he can say that he's not the best, but he's one of the best, given that the Storm has weathered most challenges. He's been in the league, he's been a pro player for years now, and he's still here, he's redeeming himself, he's proven the haters wrong.
I mean, in my personal experience, it doesn't matter what we say, it matters what other people understand. So he doesn't have a say of whether he's the best or not. Other people decide. But going back into the draft, where Echo, they have gotten the Fredrin as well as the Harif. As of now, not a lot of room for flex. Sure, the Fredrin can be flexed, but for now, Echo, I would say kind of a lineup that we've been seeing a lot.
And the Harith here, we've seen that it's very effective in the right situations, right? Mobility and survivability from the kit. But honestly, against a lot of beefy members, it does seem like it does lack that hyper DPS in that late game. Although for Blacklist, this is a very quite the early Diggy pick, and we haven't seen it in quite a while.
Yeah, okay, so right now, looking at the draft, because we have to look at the first 3 picks for both teams, because from Echo, they have a pretty strong front to back with the Eve as well as the Fredrin. Putting people in the box, make it easy for Harif to actually engage and go in. Now, Blacklist International, they're answering the first 3 picks with a Diggy. Now, we gotta think about this. Is the Diggy being used to apply pressure early in the gold lane, or is it really to make sure when it comes to the team fights, the team is gonna be safe?
Yes. And they are going to go for a re-engage lineup. And what does a re-engage lineup hate? When they don't control when they go in or out. And that's why they're banning the Franco.
Ooh, Franco ban right here just to ensure that Blacklist can take their fights on their own terms. And of course, deny maybe like the forced usage of the time journey. So far, it just seems like a very solid composition. And if they pair it with a solid backline, it's going to be pretty secure, at least on paper. But considering that they have a Claude in their lineup, it's going to be a bit weird deciding where the team as a whole wants to move, right? Do they want to go forward into danger or actually backing away from it?
this is kind of good because they're going to keep Echo guessing. And I feel like the Diggy Peak has confidence here just because you see the Fredrin and you're assuming the Fredrin is a jungle because as a Diggy, you can apply a lot of pressure by putting your alarm bombs. It doesn't feel good going up against like an assassin jungler that can kill the Diggy over and over and over again, making the Diggy really not that strong. And because the Valentina has been banned, the Grok has been banned as well. Kind of feeling like they don't want too much of an engage coming in from Echo.
And by that, the Orcas are slowly cornering Wise into a pick of their choosing, right? Well, what's left here for Wise to pick up? Because the usual suspects are out. If anything, they might be forcing the jungle Guinevere, which we last saw in the grand final stage of MPL.
A lot of options, honestly. Even if we go back, the Nakai is still available, the Baxia is still available, so there is a lot. Good or bad is really up for debate.
Exactly, especially with how the meta has progressed, you can't really guarantee that these picks that worked quite a long while ago can still be as effective. Because maybe the exact reason why it hasn't been picked up is because teams have been solving that puzzle already. But here we go, we've got a bit of a sneak peek from the phone. It's going to be a Baxia, and that's going to be a very fast composition coming in from the side of Blacklist.
That's a deep cut, right? I said go back to MPL Philippines Season 10, and then we will go back to like, what, Season 8?
It's almost like I'm an analyst.
Whoa.
Like I know what's gonna happen. But yeah, the Diorov has been picked up, so now Blacklist International, they gotta really prepare what's gonna happen because with the Diorov, a lot of the armor that they already have is gonna be shredded. So Echo, with this current lineup, if they want, they could really go aggressive. They could just like pick up a Cho and then just like, I don't care what you guys are gonna do, we're just gonna force the issue.
You either pop the time's journey now or you suffer the consequences. I like it. It's a proactive way of solving the problem.
That's certainly a way to deal with the time journey. Just force them to keep using it. And now I think they were expecting perhaps something, I don't know, they wanted to just pressure you in the jungle. So the Hilda, it's a very annoying pick. And, you know, considering how fast and how pick-orientated Blacklist composition is right now, having a Hilda in the front is going to be such a chore for Blacklist to deal with.
It's also a swerve. And now going into the hands of Haji, of course, this is the Imam special. That's a savior. So far, I'm liking it. If there's anything missing from Blacklist is that early game velocity. Like, they're going to have to wait until Echo makes a mistake and makes an opening, and then they can ramp up.
I mean, like you said, looking at the drive, looks like Blacklist, they want to re-engage. And I kind of feel like if your comp scales well and you have ways to answer a dive, that is a very good drive because looking at Echo, that's what they want to do. Sasage, they want to charge, they want to fight, and they want to make sure they apply enough pressure to Blacklist International. So now with the draft where both teams in terms of team fight, they're pretty solid. In terms of what they want to do is very different. So about the execution, can Echo execute it well or Blacklist deny the engages?
It just seems like this is a speed against power because Blacklist will be around the map really, really quick. Again, with that Baxia, with the fast clearing, with the shield unity. But for Echo right here, when they want to go for a kill, that's a lot of burst damage at their disposal.
With that being said, let's start the first game between Echo and Blacklist International.
All the way in the beginning, we do see that the Demon Slayer emblem is what both junglers try and go for. They want to get that quick clear in the early game particularly, and in that mid lane, there's going to be a bit of a showdown for sure. Both of these mages, they have like decent clear, but as far as how they impact the side lanes, it's a bit different, right? They need to try and get a bit of help, especially from the jungler or the roamer, before they can actually have that kind of impact.
Yep, slight advantage here for Sanji, given that Haji has to work on his stacks, has to make sure that the Savior scales up. But down bottom, it looks like it's a deadlock because both are able to clear the wave fast enough and then rotate.
We got to talk about the goal lane as well. So the Diggy is going to apply pressure here onto the Harif. So Yaoi, I want to see whether he decides to help out Manicutie in the goal lane or he's going to try to apply pressure in the jungle, which kind of doesn't need to because going up against the Baxia, like, why?
Exactly. Usually the Hilda is being used against assassins just to be that oppressive presence, especially in the early game where the passive is just so annoying to deal with. But now, it seems like Echo is using Yaoi on the Hilda to actually deal with the Diggy pressure because that shielding is casting all the damage, but look at Oheb, taken very, very low.
Close call. Oheb at about 1/10 of his health. Here comes Wise, bumping right into Yaoi. Oh my Venus, looking for that reverse time, does not catch it.
Right now, I'm looking at this, and it does look like Echo, they're trying to find the angles, the way that they can start the early aggression. So I want to see if they apply more pressure onto Oheb, because again, as a Claude, before level 4, you don't have a lot of way to clear the minions, so it's very, very punishing to die at like, what, level 3?
Yeah, the wave clear is definitely a big issue, especially against a Diggy. They're just constantly trying to actually do some damage, do some poke damage, but with all the members, with 4 at least, 4 people in total in the top side, it doesn't seem like Echo is going for the turtle, but Blacklist is trying to contest it.
Yep, Wise looking for it. Sanford spots him. There's the box by Sanji. Real manipulation. Turtle scared by Carl, and Sanji takes down Wise.
When we look at this lineup, this is what we were predicting Echo. They're going to start the charge. They're the one that is going to say, I'm going to have tempo. And Blacklist, they got to answer this by not dying a lot. And now Rashi, looking at the items, anything that we have to pay attention to.
It does seem like Sanji is going straight for the Enchanted Talisman. With how he's performing, he's going to be using a lot of mana, so it makes a lot of sense. Later on, there'll be a bit more damage being built on his side, but oh my Venus almost gets taken out as Oheb now just goes face-to-face against Yaoi. But he is still on the tank emblem, so tanky, doing a decent amount of damage, especially in the early game, making the best use of that Hilda.
Well, now we got to talk about the Hilda, but before that, Sanford and Edward 1v1. Is there really going to be any big traits here? I don't think so, but on top, Oheb goes down.
Oh no, and the box wasn't even there, so this is just the pure raw power of a Hilda.
Yeah, I kind of want to talk about that as well, Arashi, where a Hilda pressuring, sure, but pressuring the goal lane, how does Yaoi do this? Like, what is he really taking advantage of?
He's just taking advantage of the fact that Blacklist doesn't really want to stay and be passive in the lane, so he just stays around there and just keeps moving in and out of vision. And, you know, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But the point is, he's being a disruptive force, just taking away the focus of Blacklist from the rest of the map.
Sanji
Look at that!
Gets a 1v1 question mark, and there's bodies falling for Blacklist all across the map. V and Wise taken down 3 for none, 5-0 scoreboard.
5-0, 2K goal difference, and in my map, Oheb goes in against Benny Cutie. Will this be a good idea?
Summon Force put in underneath the turret. Oheb very low. Carl Deasy gets the kill, flanked him from the back line. Oh, my Venus falls as well. LaFell, you were saying?
Now, I'm just saying right now, 7-0, 2.4. In my opinion, if you're a scaling composition, you don't want to lose more than 2,000 gold, and now it's 2.6 in the first 4 minutes.
Echo, man, they just find their power spikes, and once they felt they had an opportunity, every single member just went for the 1v1 phase all over the map, and at the same time, 3 members from Blacklist gets taken out. That is not ideal at all, and now with that pressure, Echo will be going for the neutral objective, and according to the pattern, they're going to try and take some turrets.
That's a free turtle. LaFell, that 2K threshold, can we call it the LaFell threshold? Because that's essentially what sets apart good teams when they can read that situation.
Hey, if anything can be named after me, I'm going to take it. And now it's 3K. Looking at the items here, looking at Blacklist, the only one that has completed the item is Wise on this box here with the Radiant Armor. Is it enough, Arashi, for them to kind of negate some of the attacks coming in from Echo?
Well, they can negate some damage, especially from Harriet as well as the Yve, but I mean, Yaoi on the Hilda is still doing a massive amount of damage, and don't forget, this Dyrod, Sanford on this Dyrod is actually one of the main counters for Wise, so the Radiant Armor will not be helping in that department.
Oh, Venus already committing the flicker. Carl Deasy gets a beat on the Queen, and Appraiser's Wrath taking down the Diggy. Second, make that third death for the roamer.
And right now, Blacklist, they have nothing to answer. They gotta slow it down. Oheb just completed his Demon Hunter sword, and Wise tries to do it, but he can't do anything. 4 members on the Wise.
He's cornered here. 3 members make that 4 Wise. Chrono, Fissure. Oh no, there's the box. BMI out. 1 down. They're just doing damage control here. Blacklist.
Blacklist is getting corralled, getting cut off from their base, and honestly, Echo is just making the best use of this early game pressure, and they're not done just yet.
Oh, Sanford flickering on out. They catch Edward. Here comes the cavalry. Oheb with a blazing duet on out of dodge. Lightning and thunder pushing away Echo.
Right now, looking at the situation, Blacklist International, they're very comfortable of playing from behind, trying to wait it out, trying to make sure they fight at equal ground. But now, I gotta ask you, Arashi, Blacklist, realistically, what can they do to stop the bleeding?
They need to try and just prepare the crowd control, stick together. But the problem is for Echo right now, every single member, generally the main carries, can't go for those solo kills yet again. So if they just stick together, yeah, maybe they can avoid getting killed, but then Echo will just start destroying them in the macro gameplay, in the rotations, in the vision game, and that is not ideal either.
Oh, Edward catches one. Here comes the RWM. Diggy, oh my goodness, with the Times Journey. They take out Sanford first. Where was the damage? Amazing play by Blacklist. They get a pick off, but oh, they pay the price. Down goes Oh My Venus. They're gonna collapse down onto Edward, and he goes for the split. Split is off a cooldown. Rides on to Carl Teasy. Puts him in a compromised position. Here comes Wise. Still to get his purple buff. Yaoi making space. Edward getting pulled in. Wise still here as well. Benny Cutie, Summon Force. Where's Edward going? Goes on through the wall. Suffers a death. The storm is here, and they disengage. Oh, they find Haji. Will they find him? Will they get him? Oh, RWM one more time. Sanji, this team fight's going on forever.
It's just 7 minutes, but the damage coming in from Echo is so much, and Wise, he's gonna get taken down.
Oh, Dawning Light unable to save those two in mid. Be Wise fall underneath tier 1.
3 members down despite the best efforts from Blacklist to try and control the damage. It's just so much burst coming in from the side of Echo, and look at that. There's nowhere to save.
They're not done. Carteezy finds him in the back line. Sanji with the Void Crystal. Pop in Oheb. And now Edward and Oh My Venus finding Sanctuary underneath tier 2.
This explosiveness is controlling Blacklist International. Looking at the items right now, the Xavier only having the Clock of Destiny really won't deal out that much damage. And the Claude, 8 minutes in, only with the Demon Hunter sword. Blacklist right now in this game is looking very one-sided. Arashi and Oh My Venus has to use the ultimate to get out of the RWM.
I mean, Sanji right here with the Ice Queen's wand, just popping that alone is enough threat for Blacklist to just react with so many skills. And on top of that, Benny Cutie is supposed to be a late game hero. He has so much damage right now.
Oh, it's a full-on engage. Haji very low. Oh, Appraiser's Wrath puts him at 1 HP. Grandma! Sanford finishes him off through the wall. Now it's Edward in the front line. Split. Yaoi cordoning off the rest of Blacklist as they go for this purple buff steal. It's calm for now, but Echo are just pummeling on through Blacklist jungle straight to the Lord.
Right now, I honestly, Leo, I gotta ask you, because Blacklist, 7,000 gold down. Should they be getting any kind of view of getting a comeback? Who is it going to come from? Is it going to come from Haji, Oheb? Who's going to make that comeback happen?
In that sentence alone, they went up another 1,500. Right?
Oh, wow.
It's at 9 now almost. So I'm guessing if it's up to me and if it's something that I've seen before, given my history with Blacklist, it's got to come from Haji. So again, protect Haji at all costs and protect the map.
I have to agree with that statement, man. Haji is the one with the wave clear. Haji is the one that later on, I guess, can just do a lot of poke damage with a Dawning Light. So I think he's a big factor. And if Echo still goes with his aggressive style, he's the one with the Mystic Field that can stop a lot of this playmaking. But look at that. It's so aggressive coming in from Echo.
Oh, look at the angle that Yaoi and Carl are drawing. Concealed play by Yaoi. Disengages, pushes them away, allowing Carl to steal the orange.
Right now, Echo, they're really pushing hard because Lord is coming up top. They're pushing Blacklist away from the turrets. They're taking it one by one, almost a 10,000 goal lead. Oh My Venus as well as Oheb, they are at half HP. They can't even handle the range, the siege coming in from Echo.
Oh, there's the RWM keeping down Oh My Venus, forcing the Times Journey. Lord swinging away, shield popped, and the inhibitor up top, and they're still going. Sanji swiping, tapping. Edward taking care of that wave in mid. Echo disengages.
Man, that poke damage coming in from Sanji is just brutal, man. With the glowing wand right here, every instance of damage is getting buffed, and even the tankiest member, like Edward, will just start suffering from that percentage HP damage. Taking a look at the items, Oheb has the golden staff, but is it too little too late? If you compare him to Benny Cutie right now, there's a lot of true damage.
Oh no! Right underneath that inhibitor, they take down Haji. Blazing the way by Oheb, but it's a little too late. They're gonna take it down. Another RWM. Yaoi very low, still gets out, has an immortality. No casualties from Echo. Blacklist can't punish.
Yeah, Blacklist can't punish because, again, a difference of like 1.5 items right now between Echo and Blacklist. Like, that is...
Per hero!
Per hero, mind you. So now, like, the deficit is like so big. Even I'm asking myself, is this really comebackable?
The gold difference is almost at the 1k gold per minute, man. It is insane, the tempo that Echo is pushing onto Blacklist. And despite their best efforts, even now, the jungle is just never really a safe place. And the only time Blacklist can come out is when Echo pulls back. But even that might be a trap, because that means there's a longer distance that Echo can just run Blacklist through, right? Just chasing them all the way with the slows, with the crowd control. And it's a nightmare for Blacklist right now.
Good news, bad news. There's a push by Oheb in the bottom lane. Bad news is, as soon as Echo takes this Lord here, it's Luminous, 12 minutes past, it's going to be harder to rely on Haji. It's going to be difficult for Imam alone to be the insurance policy because they can't stay in their base alone because Echo's going to keep coming.
If anyone asks us again, like, what is a snowball? I kind of feel like this game is the definition of a snowball, taking a small lead up in the gold lane and then translate it all over the map. 11,000 gold difference. Blacklist, oh my Venus, using the Diggy is good at protecting the backline, but it's not tanky. The items as well is built on utility mage items, so he can't tank the damage. The only one that can is Wise and Edward, but at this point, it doesn't look like it's enough.
It is an Imperial Wrath Diggy, so it's supposed to actually do a lot of poke damage, but against a Hilda, against a Fredrin, it's just not enough, and now Echo make the deciding play.
Oh wow, Sanji with the Void Crystal alone forces Haji underneath the base. They're gonna force the issue here. Lord swinging away at the base. Tier 3 turrets, inhibitors in bottom, very low. Mid as well, compromised. There's a wave crashing on through. Blacklist holding on.
Right now.
There's an RWM forcing out the Time's Journey. Wise coming in. Oheb with that blazing duet. He's very low. Yawi gets the kill. Down goes the Filipino sniper. Yawi gets his immortality pop with a Salmon Force. Haji goes down. They're going to swing away. Oh my Venus popped here by the back line. Edward takes down Yawi. Wise very low. Can Sanji finish the job? The answer is no. It's up to Edward now. He's down as well. It's just Wise. Echo takes game 1.
Echo starting the series off with a very decisive victory. We're looking at Grand Finals. In fact, look at Blacklist International. Even they look flabbergasted. What happened just now?
They just look absolutely confused, man. They try to go and play reactive, try and curb the aggression coming in from Echo, but with those picks, with how many late game heroes they're relying on to scale into that late game, it wasn't nearly enough. Trying to just use the Diggy and the Baxia to be an annoying factor in the early game was completely shut down by Echo. Off the back of that Hilda, just absorbing all the damage, and of course the Dyra just softening up that Baxia.
I think game 1 alone might be proof that Blacklist has a lot to pick up from how much Echo has grown throughout the knockout stage alone, right? This is not the same Echo we watched in the Grand Finals months ago. This is a different beast.
It's not just grown, it looks straight up evolved. Echo looking very scary. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that is the stuff of nightmares. That's the kind of thing that makes you stop playing ranked.
That's if that was a ranked game, I would have just said settings, bro. Just concede, just 11K, 12K. So again, that just shows how dedicated and how clear the vision is for Blacklist, that they didn't just let go. They were still trying to hold on, but again, Echo just went for the throat.
Hey, if you want to grow, if you want to get that good, if you want to evolve, you got to play more Mobile Legends. Bang Bang M4 Battle Night goes live this January 21. Expect loads of events and rewards up for grabs in-game. First off, complete battle tasks in the game on January 21 to get a skin, choice, chest. Choose what you want, anything. You can choose the skin you like most from the chest. Aside from that, battle bonus awaits you on the same day. Play matches and you'll get team star protection for 3 matches, double star rising points, double protection points, double EXP, and double BP for 5 matches. And that's all we have for you folks. No, I'm lying. Free access to all heroes and loads of epic skins will also be available that very day. Save the date. Log into the game on January 21, enjoy the match, and win tons of rewards. Let's all celebrate the M4 Championship together, including with your friends. And if you don't have ones, it's okay. You can get some. Somewhere.
Somewhere.
Try your very best. because not
Never
everything comes for free. Sometimes you gotta buy, friends. But either way, I want to listen to the analysts because that was a pretty one-sided match. So, analysts, is there anything that we're missing?
Buying friends, really. Ladies and gents, welcome to the Analyst stand. My name is James. Joining me right here, Assassin Dave and Gideon. Well, I was watching the whole show of it, basically whole game number 1 from the stand, and I tell you, it is kind of surprising for game number 1, right, boys?
Of course, of course. I mean, Echo is making it look really easy with the draft, but again, you can definitely see that there are layers to this, especially with how they want to control the lanes and as well as pushing the aggression.
No, when you mentioned the draft, I gotta say that was a beautiful draft coming out from Echo. Blacklist picking the Diggy, you can see that they're trying to strategize this draft, right? The Diggy is gonna counter the Chow, and is one of the Oh My Venus really comfortable picks, right? That's one of the hero pulls. And then obviously taken out, but smart pick from Echo with the Hilda. Let's take a look at items here from everyone.
Yep, looking at items, I think items not exactly important, it's the numbers up top, 21 to 2.
Absolutely. I mean, when you have Yaoi initiating and running into Blacklist jungle to figure out where Wise is going to be, they have a really good idea of where they're going to be, you know, applying their resources, and that is going to be mid as well as the gold lane. Echo immediately identify that, understand that they're going to be targeting Yaoi, so therefore switch up the plan a little bit more. Because if we're expecting Haji to carry, he needs items, he needs times, and the same goes for Oheb at 2 items. Echo immediately forcing it down their throats on the gold lane.
Yep, Blacklist International on the other hand, if you noticed earlier just now, during the item builds, right? Oh My Venus going for the Diggy on a non-tanky build. What do you think, Dave?
I think when you're behind, it wouldn't make sense to actually go with the damage build because you're trying to one-shot someone. That's the only chance for you to come back. Now let's take a look at the team fight participation here. Everyone from Blacklist has 100%. Now we only have 2 kills. That kind of make a lot of sense, but it just shows that Echo coming into today's match prepared. They know the strategy. They know they actually 2 steps ahead, right? But Blacklist going to the next game, can they think about, you know, try to not prioritize a glue pick, for example, even though it's one of the most meta pick, but was obviously countered by Dara, who was shown in the game yesterday when Echo was playing against Onyx, and today we're seeing it again.
I think Leo put it very well, right? Like, I think Blacklist International may have said that, okay, this is the same Echo in MPLPH, but in M4, you can start to see like different teams already slowly growing up and, you know, changing their strategies on the board, and it's just evident right here in game number 1, right, Gideon?
It really is evident, and I think, you know, they're coming up with interesting ways to actually go above and beyond, because again, we're expecting to see, you know, Dairoth completely just shred down the blue overall, and then they start pressing their influence into the jungle, which affects Wise a lot. And when you have Diggy, how can you really defend it at the end of the day?
Yep. We're going to take a look at MVP coming out from the side of Echo. In my opinion, I think it is going to be BennyQT, of course. But looking at this, it's going to be awarded over to Sanji instead. Yet, I agree. The real-world manipulation, these boxes set up. We've seen a lot of Eve all throughout the board. Dave, what do you think that made Sanji this MVP Eve?
I think even though the MVP is given to Sanji, but you have to give a lot of credit to the entire team of Team Echo, right? Now they have a vision, they have the Hilda pick. I was going to talk about the draft again because of the Diggy pick. Echo answered it perfectly with that. And obviously, Gideon, you know a lot more about Echo than I do, so.
Absolutely. I mean, like, when we break it down to the matchup already, he's just pushing it out way faster in comparison to someone like Xavier. But, you know, in the famous words of Sun Tzu, you gotta roll fast and eat some, well, you know, you get the idea as Sanji continues to push out and, you know, make his influence known. That gold lane had no real way to actually protect itself. Yeah. Use real-world manipulation, I'm guaranteed for that time journey, and just look at that pressure. He's not even walking into the lane, it's just cutting off the reinforcements that are supposed to go for the gold.
Yeah, I think especially towards a team like Blacklist, right? Like, the most important lane that you want to counter against is that mid lane. Once the mid lane is more of your stronger lane, the whole team that Blacklist need to rotate around, then you don't have access to the side lanes, you don't have access to the bottom lane as well. So you're forced to basically stay in the mid lane, and I think that's where Sanji truly shines, especially in the early game.
Yeah, because the meta is heavily focused towards the winning lane, right? Like, can you win lane from the gold lane, from the EXP lane, and from the mid lane as well? And now we're taking a look at the highlights to see exactly what happened in the mid lane. We saw that Sanji, he heavily focused on mid, and then with the map slowly but surely opened up by Karl TZ, by the Hilda played by Yaoi there, he's able to rotate with the team, and look where our Eve is on the map right now, right? He's deep in enemy jungle, getting vision, and this is zoning the entire team away.
Yeah, and I think, you know, and most importantly, it's about lane priority. It's just who gets there first, who can make that first move. And Blacklist, unfortunately, just a little slow. You can't even blame them for being slow on the rotation. They're playing Boxer who can hop over walls. Echo literally just cutting off those supply lines. And once you have that 11k gold lead, it's really hard to kind of throw it from that position.
Yes, and I think the lack of the fact that I think the way that Diggy wants to play from the side of Blacklist International is to zone people out with the bombs. But you can also, you've also noticed there's also a Hilda on the enemy side, and you know, Hilda can gladly take all the bombs. All I need to do is just I walk into a bush and I heal up, and that's exactly. That kind of broke the code for game number 1.
Absolutely, and that's what we're talking about with the draft, right? This game, more than anything, I think Blacklist really need to think about the next game draft. Maybe prioritize the EXP lane in the counter position later on.
And with that said, we're going to throw it back to the boys up there to give us game number 2.
Thank you very much, Analyst. And according to them, Blacklist International, they got to look at the draft. So welcome back to the caster desk, where I got to tell you guys, okay? This is the time to play, because M4 Pass is available now. Complete all active tasks and get level 75 at ease for free. Log in now, and exclusive rewards like the Beatrix Light Chaser and Stellar Brilliant skin can be earned by you guys, as well as the M4 Beatrix figurine is waiting for you. Hashtag Mobile Legends Bang Bang, hashtag MLBBM4, hashtag Dare to Be Great. Welcome back to the caster desk with me, Lafel, with Arashi, as well as Leo. And before we even talk about the match, Leo, I think, because looking back at the crowd, we gotta talk about the agents that came here, and for Echo as well. I heard Aura Indonesia, they're fans of Echo as well.
Yeah, again, they're Surumpun. They're family, right? So we appreciate all of the fans from all over the world that came in to support their teams, specifically these two teams tonight. The agents for Blacklist, the Orcas, or Limang Echo fans from Echo, and again, the Aura Fire fam. They're all here, and again, that's what's making all the noise here. And your teams are going to need your support, because tonight it's a battle for that first spot in the grand finals.
I gotta say, it feels good to be a Filipino fan, because no matter what stage of the game, you're pretty sure, yeah, they're gonna be there. You know, it's like semifinals, grand finals, they're gonna be there. Because sometimes you probably say that, we don't know. But we're gonna go back into the game. Echo going up against Blacklist. Right now, Arashi, because our analysts, they were talking about it. It's like, the draft coming in from Blacklist, maybe not the best. What do you think?
I think they require a bit of damage, because again, I think early on, using the Boxia to be a roaming tool to just make the plays happen around the map, that is a valid option. But unless someone can follow up on that damage, right, and back up that Boxia, it's going to be a bit difficult if Boxia alone is up against 3 heroes, especially if you look at Echo's composition. There are 3 strong laners, right? So the Boxia is just forced into submission, especially with the addition of that Hilda in the roam position. So usually it's used to counter assassins, but now against a fighter like a Boxia, it's still working out just fine. So the creativity of Echo is just showing through right again in the draft of the first game.
Now, Leo, we've experienced a lot of games, so I gotta ask you in front of the camera, this is a best of 5. So is it worth it for the first game you lose, but you get a lot of information out of it?
This is the concept of the download game you're saying, Lafel. I'd like to think that on the world stage there is no room for such, but again, given the minds and wisdom that's at play here, I don't want to count it out. The fact that, again, it seems like Coach Tic Tac and Coach Treb have found a way to ruthlessly choke out Wise's hero pool and force an old favorite like the Baksha, then, you know, I'm okay living in either reality.
But right now we're looking at the damage coming in from both teams. No wonder Sanji got the MVP. 85,000 damage in the game just now. I thought Benny Cutie just with like 1 hit already hurts, but apparently Sanji's really putting a lot of work against Blacklist International.
It's comparing the poke damage coming in from Sanji to the burst of Benny Cutie, right? Because with like 2 or 3 items, Benny was just deadly, especially going for those pickoffs, those burst plays under the turret. But for Sanji, every time he's on the map, there's just a lot of slows, a lot of utility just being thrown again and again at the members of Blacklist International, and overall, it just keeps adding up.
I gotta say, our cameraman is pretty good at sniping people out.
Oh yeah,
kudos to the cameraman. But talking about the game, just now, it does seem like Wise was kind of forced onto the Boxia pick. Do you think for this time around, Blacklist, they will try to secure Wise's hero a little bit earlier?
Looking at game one, right? Wise was left to be picked up second to the last. So they were really protecting Haji in mid. So now, looking at their history, no. Looking at how Bonchan and Master of the Basics play, I think they will stand their ground and maybe iterate. I cannot expect anything less than that because that's what's worked for Blacklist for the longest time.
With that being said, we're going into the draft of game number 2, Echo against Blacklist International, where we saw or heard from our analysts, it was a game 1 by the draft. So let's go into this draft, Arashi.
Off the bat, you see a bit of difference coming in here. Echo was banning the Benedetta, Farsa, and Joy, so it's still the same for them. Oh, and actually, it's almost the same ban coming in from the side of Blacklist, but they've banned Yves as well, fearing the long-range setup coming in from Sanji.
With the Fredrin first pick here, what does this really tell us? Because they're letting go of the Kaja. The Glue, sure, is a very strong hero, but 48% win rate. I don't know, like, Leo, what do you think about this Fredrin over Kaja pick?
I think this is both an answer and an adjustment from Blacklist International. Again, I did say I think they might let Wise pick up in the second phase, but we've seen Wise play Kaja jungle already.
Oh yeah, no, that is actually quite a good point. I mean, we can debate all day which is better, you know, Kaja and Roam. Some people might be a little bit cheeky and put it in the EXP. The jungle, I don't know, I kind of like with the Glue as well as the Kaja because it gives option for Coach Bonchan to kind of like move things around if needed.
I mean, I think it's a great improvement already because now Blacklist has a strong laner. And of course, if it does go into the XP lane in the hands of Edward, that is a very dominant lane, and that can be one of the main pillars of support that can be used for Blacklist to try and make plays around. But off the bat, the Diggy pick has come out yet again.
So Diggy pick here, this 100% confirm this is Wise on the Kaja, or is there still room for it to go somewhere else?
There is room for it to go to somewhere else. We still don't know if this could possibly be a mid-Diggy.
True.
But you don't want to waste those mechanical skills and those tactical split-second decisions that Haji can make. So yeah, it's more likely that this remains a jungle Kaja, and then you give something else to Haji. So yeah, look, again, this is iteration, right? You take away the Franco from game 1, and then you take away the Hilda from Yaoi.
I mean, here's the thing, right? The Diggy people don't really expect it, but the Diggy actually deals a lot of damage because even in the previous game, out of everyone, the one that dealt the most damage is Oh My Venus. Now we gotta look at Oheb, where he said, I think I want to face all of the teams because if we want to be champions, we should fight every team.
Oof, that's a bold statement for sure, but now he is on the signature pick. It's gonna be that Filipino sniper coming out strong again. Of course, we saw that it was very flexible, very strong in the right situations. But looking at the composition from the side of Echo, can Blacklist protect the Beatrix long enough? Because it seems like they're still going for that aggressive playstyle.
And I just want to say it now. I'm loving the energy of the crowd. It feels good hearing the cheers for both teams. But yes, right now Sanford again getting the dire off. And they're going to finish off the draft with an Estes. But not for Blacklist, for Echo.
So if this is indeed the Rome Estes, then that means Yaoi is growing. He's practicing his mind off.
Thank you very much. Nice if you're watching, we love you. And hey, you know what? If you want to be world champions, you can't stay in one box.
Yeah.
You gotta grow.
Yes.
You gotta push barriers. You gotta push walls.
Yes.
You gotta be like a construction worker and keep on working on.
Yes. And with that being said, the lineup for Blacklist is so much clearer now. Again, I told y'all, iteration, not innovation. They give a few different picks at the different spots, and eventually they end up with a lineup that might work.
So change, but change a bit, not change totally. How does this make you feel, Arashi?
I feel like from a pure front-to-back consideration, I feel like Blacklist isn't as strong, but this lineup now, this composition gives them a lot more tools to work around with. If they need a bit more poke damage, they have that. They have a good variation in damage, physical and magical, and they also have the possibility to try and go for a front-to-back or a pick-off kind of gameplay depending on what is going on in the game. So I think flexibility is a very dangerous weapon, and Blacklist has shown that they can use it to its full potential.
Right now, the camera is moving around, looking at the crowd, looking at Blacklist agents, cheering on their team with the energy coming from the crowd. We're going into game number 2, Echo against Blacklist International.
This is going to be a very interesting game because momentum is definitely on the side of Echo. And if you take a look at the items, Benny Cutie going with a killing spree on that Claude, a very aggressive option that we do not see that often.
Yeah, no, it's been a while since we last saw that. That means they're going for the throw. They're going to go quick here. Looking at the buff starts, it's diagonal. It's a clear mirror because orange for one and then purple for the other.
I mean, looking at, because we're talking about the emblems. If you're having a killing spree, I kind of feel like you are understanding. Hold on, before that, Edward against Sanford. I'm watching, is this going to be a clear-cut kill of a 1v1? So far, they're just poking each other.
There's going to be a difference maker. In comes Sanji with the flicker pull. Not enough burst, not yet.
Oof. That's a flicker being used by Sanji so early on. And again, you can just see the tempo that Echo wants to play at, but that roam will cost them. Blacklist already trying to punish that maneuver, and they might just go for Sanji right here.
Oh, there's too many strings on this map. Sanji very low. Wise puts him very low and just straight down under. That's Wise trying first blood.
Yeah, this time Blacklist, they're starting off strong. They're like, we're going to invade your jungle. If you rotate, we're going to stay here in mid. But over here, Wise, already level 4. Does he want to look for another kill for himself?
Well, they see nobody in that lane, so Wise will be just clearing out the lane, trying to push that lead everywhere else. That is the pressure gameplay that we see being used in the current meta. But now with the S's in the mid lane, it's just a bit of a contrast, but look at the damage coming in towards Venus.
This has to be some different build on Yaoi because that's what popped in. Now Kaldizi coming in and a pull! Shadow Stampede putting Haji into the ground. That's 1-1 at 2 minutes.
A good answer coming in mid, getting the return kill now, equalizing 1-1. The turtle just spawned, and looks like Echo, they're going straight for the turtle. Looking at the position from Blacklist International, they're not gonna contest at all. So right now, Blacklist, they got some lead in the mid just now. What is the next step? What is Blacklist looking at now that Wise is level 5, already having the Divine Judgment?
They need to go for pickoff, and if they want to try and use Haji as the main tool, they have to try and shut down Sanji as well. Although the fact that Sanji's on the Paramis, that's a bit more of a utility hero, but in the EXP lane though, again, constant fighting from both these players.
Yeah, no, it's furious, and it's fast, and it's relentless. They're still going. Sanford, very low, flickering on out, saving his life.
Love watching the EXP lane. It's a battle, but now Wise here getting caught by Carl TZ.
Appraiser's Wrath, very little damage. Here comes everything. Biru's Passion, taking down Yaoi. That's a clear take for Blacklist, about 500 gold ahead.
Echo has so much sustainability, but against the early damage coming in from that Beatrix, it just was not enough. So Yaoi was eventually taken down due to that burst damage. And look at that Dawning Light, man. That is some accuracy from the side of Haji. And Blacklist now have the tempo, have a small gold lead, but considering what Game 1 looked like, this is way more than enough. You take a look at a bit of the items here. Clock of Destiny is trying to be built by Haji, but in the XP lane, still yet another fight.
Edward versus Carl TZ. The rest of Echo versus Black in mid. They're still going. Welcome back to the 1v1 down bottom, and both disengage.
The 1v1 that lasts almost forever. Looking at how things are going on, it's just like everyone's just testing their power. How much damage I can put out. Edward going against Edward.
Abysm Strike taken down. Edward took a few more basics underneath at tier 1, but Sanford gets it.
This Direwolf pick, man, is just dangerous. It does so well against all these tanky heroes that has been slowly but surely gaining favor in the current meta. But now Blacklist crowd around the top side trying to make sure that they shut down Benny Cutie.
This is a 2v3. They pop the Blazing Duet early as well as Yaoi's ult. but that's fine. Blacklist disengages down bottom. It's a 3v none. Might as well be a free turtle. Echo takes 100% so far, 4 minutes in.
Right now, looking at how Blacklist, they're moving around, Wise is farming, so he's usually alone. So even if he catches someone, there's not going to be anyone to really back it up. So it almost looks like Blacklist, they're like, you know what, fine, we're not going to contest anything in the river. We're going to try to put all our investments in the gold lane.
Oh, and the gold lane is looking mighty tight. It's crowded up here. It's a 4v4. They've left Sanford and Edward down bottom, and they both disengage. A minute and a half until the next turtle.
I can't help but feel that Wise has been farming a lot more diligently, and yes, it's good for him, but he's not making use of that pick of potential coming in from the Divine Judgment. In these fights, in these dive attempts towards Benny Cutie, that Divine Judgment would have been a very valuable tool in ensuring that they can just go for the kills.
You're right. After hitting level 4 at about the minute and a half mark, Wise only used DJ maybe twice, tops.
Yeah, because right now, when can he actually use it? Because the way that Echo is moving around, they're not really giving a lot of opportunities. And as I say that, Carl Tizzy is trying to put pressure onto Oh My Venus.
Oh.
That being said, Oheb shoots in between.
I wonder if that's the idea, right? Use these utility tools defensively and rely on the long range. They have a Diggy, they have a Beatrix and a Savior as well, so they can just keep poking and use the Divine Judgment as a protective tool instead, just to ensure that the Blazing Duet can be cancelled, that Sanford diving can be cancelled. But look, honestly, there's just so much violence in this EXP lane, man.
Yep, even if Sanford walks away with his life, I give that win to Edward. He sent him home.
Right now, I kind of feel like Blacklist, they really don't want to go anywhere else. It's like, you guys try. And Carl Tizzy coming from the side.
Oh, he puts a few beads onto Oh My Venus. Bombs away by Oheb. That's an ult from Bennett. Carl Tizzy at about half health. They disengage.
Now we'll be able to sustain him back up. And this is the problem. Blacklist has a lot of poke damage, but Echo also has a good amount of sustain. So unless Blacklist can somehow get a finish, right? Get the kill outright, the SS is going to be a huge problem. But look at that!
Oh, Sanford commits the flicker, but thinks twice about taking down Haji. He sends him home. Now the turtle fight. Oh, there's a great pull by Blacklist. Very, very low. Oh, it bombs away. Cartesi coming in with the retribution. Wise dashes on out. Cyclone Eye. Shades of Season 4.
Right now, I kind of feel like if we're going to look at items, Blacklist, they really need to make sure Oh My Venus has that concealed, because it looks like it's so difficult to engage onto Echo. But Echo, they have no problem engaging.
5, make that Season 5, the Cyclone Eye. But now, up top, oh no, in mid. Sanford gets Edward on him. Yo, this fight has gone from bottom to mid. Now it's not done. Carl Tizzy was Haji, very low. Edward caught between Yawi and Sanji. Carl Tizzy knocks up one. There's the ult by OM. Nibiru's passion. Will they force it? There's the ult by Yawi. And there's the pull by Wise. Divine Judgment onto Sanji. There's no called altar, folks. They disengage. Both teams very good at making decisions. They're going to force this tier 1 in mid. Wise pulled back in. He's going to get out. And there's a time's journey. Queen V saves the jungler.
Ooh, close call for the side of Blacklist, but Echo right now has so much more damage to work around with. If you guys have noticed, Benny Cutie has finished his golden staff at well before 7 minutes. So this is a very scary claw just scaling up despite having this very aggressive emblem. Now looking at the actual items here, Vincetta Talisman also complete for Sanji, means that Echo can go for those plays more often and more regularly. So Blacklist needs to be very, very careful and just read the movement patterns coming in from Echo.
Oh, Edward, caught between 3 members. Shadow Stampede pulling him in. Benny Cutie making quick work of that tier 1 down bottom. Good news, bad news. Blacklist looking better than they were in game 1, but bad news, Echo's owning majority of the map.
Well, right now, it looks like both teams, they are really committed to actually dishing out the damage, but once they got what they need, it's like, yo, I'm out. I don't need to stay any longer, because we've seen a lot of fights being engaged, but it's all secondary, you know? It's like, if I can get the kill, good, great bonus, but if a turtle is in front of me, I'm gonna go for that. If I see a turtle, I'm gonna go for that. Now, Lord Spawn, will they go for that?
This is the crazy part about Echo, man. They're so aggressive, but they never force it and never overdo it. So they take what makes sense, and if there's anything else that's still baiting them, they don't fall for that kind of trap. And now they're putting it to Edward.
Ooh, that's a pull. Edward goes on back. Lord at less than half health. Dawning Light already spent by Haji. There's a knock-up on the Wise. Bounce away! That's a Benetol. Wise secures the Lord with Retribution. They're looking for solid blazing duet, and Benny takes down one. The Queen falls. Wise running away. OF takes down Benny, and Wise underneath the tier 2 turret retreating. Sanji looking for his man. Yaoi slows him down. Down goes Wise as well. It's a 2-for-1, but Blacklist gets the Lord.
Get the Lord, and this is a chance for Blacklist to try and equalize, right? Get some more objectives on the map, some of these turrets down, but Echo, they just played that fight just so aggressively, and I think, in a way, Blacklist came out on top there.
Oh, Sanji, threatened here by Edward, ever the threat, Agent Zero. Making so much space for Oheb to make plays with. Now, oh, here's another 1v1. Haji's gonna fall. Appraiser's Wrath. What was Imam doing there?
Yeah, right now, Blacklist, they are trying to put the pressure. With Carl TZ coming from the side.
Oh,
Edward taking quite a lot of damage.
They're not done. Blazing duet here, plus an ult from Yaoi. Edward, he's healing, but he's not gonna last very long. BMI by Benny, straight into the face of V and Oheb. They push him back.
Right now, slow things down. Echo, it looks like even if Blacklist, they're ready for a fight, they're not entirely ready because right now, Echo, they're looking more tankier, more damage. Looking at the items, Blacklist, are they ready to fight back or they need to wait a little bit more?
I mean, Edward is pretty solid as a frontline right here. He has the Antique Cuirass, so denying most of the ability damage coming in from the side of Echo. And along with that, Wise is also going for a full tanky build with the Bruther's Breastplate and the Oracle. So that will be the main front line, and they do have the Necklace of Durance just to reduce the healing coming in from Echo. So very smart itemization, but at this point, you have to wonder if they have the right utility, but not enough damage.
Well, right now, Blacklist International, the only thing in my head, I kind of feel like they should be enough in damage. The only thing is how are they going to engage? How are they going to deal with all this healing coming in from Yaoi? Because as a Kaja, you want to pick someone off. But if they're moving as 5, good luck.
Yeah, it's basically playing your doppelganger because this is the Orca Ube we're seeing. They're together for a majority of this 11-minute game, and that's why it's so difficult for King Wise to engage.
Is it called a School of Orca?
No, it's the Orca Ube. Oh yeah, the pod.
The pod,
yes.
yeah, the pod.
Yes.
I learned something new from an American.
Mr. Wagner.
Mr. Wagner, yes.
A lot of Orcas, I mean, it makes sense. And now Haji has the Lightning Truncheon though, so maybe, right, if they can just do a lot of burst damage from far away, they might just be able to force Yaoi to use the Blessing of the Moon Goddess before the big fight even begins. That might be the exact scenario they're looking for, because Wise is just moving back and forth, threatening the engage, even though he hasn't been very dynamic with it.
Okay, look, right now it's 12 minutes, okay? If at any point Blacklist wants to get an engagement, this is where you do it, because if Echo really wants this Lord, can you actually make sure you don't get hit by Haji with the Mystic Field? Because if everyone's gathered together, you're gonna get stunned. Wise will find an angle to pull you aside with this Lord take. Will Blacklist do something with it?
Lord at about a third of its health. There's a knock-up, and there's a split, and there's the ult by Yaoi. Dawning Light right on through. Cult Altar on cue. Lord very low. Count Easy secures it, and look at Benny Cutie in the back line, punished by Oheb. Oh, and it's Wise, very low as well. There's another knock-up, and there's a flicker in by Sanji with a Shadow Stampede to boot. Wise very low, he still survives. Sanji punished by Edward, but he's gonna spawn really fast. 1 for a none so far. A Lord for a kill, they're still going. Carteezy very low, Yaoi doing his best to heal him. Haji with the shutdown.
Well, like I said, man, if Blacklist, they want to do anything with their team fight, they gotta wait on the Lord. You gotta wait for Echo to do what you're expecting them to do. Move together, give a spot for Haji to actually make it so that they can't move as a group, and then wait for Wise to get that catch. And Oheb, 3-0 right now, doing a lot of damage onto Echo.
Now you see the issue with the composition from Echo right here. They have a lot of damage, they have a lot of sustainability with the Blessing of the Moon Goddess and the Cult Altar, but when Blacklist kite away and move away from the fight, they have no way of chasing or ensuring that Blacklist is in there scrapping against them. So Blacklist can just outmaneuver them like we saw in the previous Lord Pit, and the longer the fight goes, the more DPS and less combo reliant heroes from the side of Blacklist can do a lot of damage. We saw that happen in the previous fight, so Echo now needs to make sure that the fights are quick and simple.
Yep, they essentially have to penetrate the pod, right?
Yes.
Yeah, right now, honestly, looking at this, I feel like this is a very complicated draft to really pilot because Blacklist, if they're gonna win the fights, they're kind of manipulating Echo to do what they want. Carl TZ engages.
Oh, they find my Venus forcing out an early times journey. Now they're gonna back out a Dawning Light for good measure. Sanford putting a few beads onto Edward from the back line, forcing out a Cult Altar. Oh, this is not a good engage for either team. Yaoi pulls out the ult, both skittish to force this fight.
But still, a lot of pressure right now Echo is putting onto Blacklist. Basically, Carl TZ is just reminding them, is like, you guys want to fight, don't forget, I'm here. I can tank the damage, and I can deal the damage. So if you see me, you run first. You got it? You run first.
I mean, I feel like the main engage tool for Echo right now is going to be Carl TZ, and they have to try and switch it up a bit because it seems like Blacklist is always ready every time he goes in for that engagement. Look at that snipe!
Very low, Sanji backing out, just dodging the Dawning Light about an inch away. Yaoi now in trouble, gets the Divine Judgment on him. Haki obliges. That's a clear pickoff, a win for Blacklist, now 1,400 gold ahead.
That is the poke damage we've been talking about. Before the fight even begins, everyone gets taken so low due to the snipes, due to the Dawning Light. And afterwards, on the way back, Echo is just too slow. Wise can take his easy time, just dragging them back with the Divine Judgment, and they have no solution to this playstyle that Blacklist is showing them right now.
Blacklist, just by using the Lord, winning one fight around the river, they have changed this game into their favor, and not by a little. 2.5k gold lead. Now doing a lot of damage from the back line. So right now, they're activating the draft. We don't have to engage. You want to engage, we just deal the damage.
They're past the LaFell threshold and they find Sanford. There's the Divine Judgment, popping the Cult Altar's extra life. Dawning Light pierces on through the pod and forcing the ult from Yaoi. Can they survive this? Carl TZ just focused on the Lord. Benicuri forced to go to the back line. They take down Edward. Sanji gets the kill. Sanford very low. Oheb, the Filipino sniper gets it. Carl TZ, the best in the world, confirms it, but at the cost of his life. Another one falls, Benicuri, and there was no one left for Echo.
Wipe out Blacklist International, 4 members with a minion wave pushing in. But look at this, Sanji tries to do something.
Can he? No, the answer is no. Oh Lord, the Lord, speak it up. He spawns. That's Echo 6-man pushing out in their favor.
Now he spawns.
That was almost over, but no. Blacklist, they're continuing on. Oheb shredding that very low, and Wise engages Yaoi. Nothing can be done. Blacklist International wins game number 2. Blacklist International answers back. Even though the early stages, it looks a little bit slow, but once the Lord is there, they use it to their own advantage.
That is a dangerous late game, man. There's so much damage coming in from Blacklist. Even Venus was on the Diggy with a Divine Glaive. So in the late game, that damage is no joke. And with Echo just being so stiff, right? So slow in maneuvering, they get the Lord, but at what cost? Having a full wipeout with the long death timers, Blacklist instantly just capitalizes on that moment and get that victory.
Looking at the game, both teams, they're just setting up the map for potential plays later on. And it looks like Blacklist had a little bit of a better setup, or it's just that they understand what Echo is going to do before they even do it. So it's like, okay, we're looking to the future. At this minute, this is how we're going to engage, because once they got that roll in, it's like, okay, the game's ours.
And this shows the difference between short-term planning and decision-making and long-term, because yes, Carl TZ did secure the Lord, would have been amazing, bought them maybe, an extra 5 or 6 seconds underneath their base, but from there, Blacklist just knew what the next step was regardless.
I mean, personally for me, if we're talking about the late game Lord fight, I prefer getting kills over getting the Lord, honestly, because at like what, 18 minutes, 20 minutes, the time that you die and you respawn is just a little bit too long, and it's not that worth it. What is worth it is the M4 pass, because it's available now, complete all active tasks, and you will reach level 75 at ease. And for free. Lucky now, because exclusive rewards are waiting for you. Don't make it wait any longer for the Beatrix Light Chaser and Beatrix Stellar Brilliant Skin and M4 Beatrix figurine is waiting for you. Hashtag Mobile Legends Bang Bang, hashtag MLBB M4, hashtag Dare to be great. Yeah, Dare to be great. M4 Battle Night goes live this January 21. Expect loads of events and rewards up for grabs in-game. First off, complete battle task in-game on January 21 to get skin choice chests. You can choose the skin you like most from the chest. I got a few that I personally want to pick up, and with that being said, battle bonus awaits you on the same day. Play matches, and you get team star protection for 3 matches, double star rising points, double protection points, double EXP, and double BP for 5 matches. Free access to all heroes and loads of epic skins will also be available that very day. Save the date, log into the game on January 21st. Enjoy the match and win tons of rewards. Let's all celebrate the M4 Championship together, including with your friends. And if you don't have friends, just get good in the game. Trust me, if you're a crazy jungler, everyone will look for you.
Breaking news, Carl Teasy is now 5-6 on the Fredrin.
Ooh.
Wow. This is his first loss in a while.
Oh yeah. Oh, now that you mention it, since you said that, I kind of feel like I want to listen to what the analysts have to say. Come on, like, I'm all ears.
This has been a very interesting series, mind you, because first of all, I felt like Blacklist International, they're an insane team, right? Going for the same strat, it's basically doing the same exact thing, expecting different results, and they get away with it.
Well, I gotta say, they made quite a bit very detailed changes in the draft, right?
Okay.
Most important thing, they ban away everything that counters Diggy. You know, you take away the Hilda, that had a very good, big impact in the last game. They also ban away the Franco. That might be a really big counter to Oh My Venus Diggy.
But to
And-
be
Go ahead.
Yeah, but to be honest, Dave, but like when I look at the opposite draft, because it is Blacklist International that had to ban away these. They open up like the crazy pickups, right? Like the Esthers and also even the Veramis together. What happened?
No, I think that there's one thing that I want to notice on top of that, which is the EXP lane. We still have the Dairos that counters the glue, right?
Exactly.
But even then, the team fight with that counter, we still had a Kaja that was picking the jungle played by Vice. That was a counter on top of the counter. It was just a lot of like logic and reasoning going into the draft. It was absolutely epic. What about the Echo side?
Personally, for me, I would think that this draft is pretty 50-50 between both sides. They had a strong side, they had a weak side, expected from both of these top-class teams. But the main difference that I've noticed overall is Echo is tunnel visioning a lot in these fights, and when we see the highlights, I'll explain a little bit more about it, but based on the itemizations, they were hoping that Benny QT would be enough damage to start taking control over specifically Lord fights, where that's where we expect Blacklist to kind of collect. But the early games, that's when we see Sanford. Absolute monster, kind of crushing his lane, started pushing his influence into mid, and then we started to see problems happen.
Right? Especially towards mid to late game team fights. When you have the Kaja pick played by Wise, it's such a huge counter to Dairos, to someone like Claude. And that's why as long as Wise hold that ultimate, you can see in every single team fight, he has the ult in his hand, ready to counter anyone that jumps in. And that poses such a threat to Echo's entire composition. They can't really dive until, unless Wise uses ultimate. On top of it, Ohab, Haiji have such huge damage in the entire game. You can see the damage of turrets, the damage dealt overall. They're doing an absolute amazing job in this game.
And another thing, if you notice that team fight participation, Oh My Venus is 100% because it's so easy for Venus to just throw the bombs. And then not only just the fact that these bombs also do a lot of damage, it also shows, give out a lot of information, right? And also apart from that, the fact that you've also got Haji, right? The Xavier. If you notice, Blacklist International feels like they're struggling a little bit in the early game, but then suddenly something clicked. Haji starts to hurt, Ohab starts to hurt, Oh My Venus starts to hurt, everybody from Blacklist starts to hurt.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, that's when we start to see a little bit of problems coming to the mid as well as the late game. Like Yaoi, with the help of Sanji, technically should have been able to like have control, but that's the problem with Estes, right? Again, he doesn't bring a lot of damage to the game. He has soft CC control, good enough to keep up with the chase, but not good enough to turn over a fight unless he uses that ultimate. And once you lose that mid lane control, as Dave said that Kaja, you don't use that at all. You're holding them hostage throughout that game.
Exactly. That mental core control is the most important thing in that game, right? As long as I have it, yeah, you better back off, right? You better think twice before you dive in. And I gotta say that even in that last game, the MVP have to go to Oh My Venus.
Oh My Venus, 100% kill participation. Look at the items. So sick of an item build right there.
Exactly, and you know, when you are going to be playing Diggy, it could be build tank, it could be build damage, and I think it was a good option for Oh My Venus specifically to build damage because again, for Echo's side, the only person who can top you off from that kind of harassment is supposed to be Yawi, but he can't be all over the map, and neither is he looking to try and mirror Oh My Venus too much, because then, when you're dropping those auto alarm bombs, Sanford walks up, you get hit by one, and you're like, what is going on? That hurt. Who's going to top me off?
Yeah, and there's also another thing about this side of Echo. I feel like they thought that Estes is enough, but then again, it's an AoE damage, right? Estes can only heal 1% at a time unless the ultimate goes out. But I also like the point that Dave brought out. It's like the fact that I'm not pulling that trigger is actually the trigger I'm pulling at you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look at Oh My Venus heat map right here. Staying in mid lane and slowly but surely going towards the goal lane. We even saw in the stat side, OHAB was the most farmed in the entire game in the past game. And this heat map reflects it, right? There's so much resources are going towards OHAB goal lane, which helped him develop into the late game monster that he was.
And I feel like looking at this heat map as well, if you notice, not a single time in the early game, they went down to the EXP lane. But let's take a look at the MVP highlights.
All right, now, as I was saying before, Echo really tunnel vision solely on this gold lane. And you can see throughout these team fights, we're seeing, oh, it's looking good. As soon as they've dropped their nuke, the Divine Retribution, quickly drops it. And then as soon as that happens, you expect them to jump on it even faster. But now, this later stage of the fight, Wise walks back into the fight with 1 HP, and the entirety of Echo decide, you know what, we're not going to take him out. That should have been enough damage, and they end up losing the game off of this. The continuous disrespect and not focusing down on the targets that they have to scrape up that gold to keep them in the game really hurt them.
I call it the peaceful gaming from Echo, you know? They chose peace over violence. At the same time, you gotta give credit to OHAB. The positioning on this guy was insane, right?
Yes.
Few times you've seen the highlights, he was just somehow still alive. You know, he survived with 1 HP, popped the flicker at the right time, able to get away in a better positioning, and come back in and deal the damage again. And that just shows the Philippine sniper. You know, that's all we can say. The best of the best.
Personally, for me, I think that the best solution here is if a man is holding on to a gun, the only way is to arm yourself with your own gun. And hopefully we'll see that in the next upcoming draft.
Yes, I feel like it's really an interesting draft coming out of both these two teams. Of course, Blacklist International still sticking to their guns, no pun intended over there. The Kaja Divine Judgment itself is a very scary thing as long as you don't use it. I feel like the cue for Echo to enter is after Kaja pulled off the ultimate. They didn't see it, so they were holding on, expecting something bad to happen, but while they're waiting for that cue to enter, Oh My Venus outputting damage, Haji's outputting damage, and also, of course,
OHAB is putting damage. And they're exactly right. I mean, they're all ranged poke damage, right? So they can do that anytime they want. But with that being said, I mean, I think the casters are ready too.
Yep, we're going to be throwing back to the host instead. So, Clara Mara, what do you have for us?
We're here with the agents of Blacklist International and a special appearance from the CEO and co-owner of Blacklist, Chai Gutierrez.
Hello, hello, hello.
Chai, inside scoop naman. So before coming into today's match, how was the mindset, the mood of the entire team?
I think the team was really over-prepared today because overall, Echo was really performing very well throughout the World Championship. And I think in Game 1, we saw that preparation, but I think we bounced back pretty well in Game 2.
Speaking of that game number 1, when they came back, I know you were there in the dugout with them. What were you telling them to pump them up?
I think we were really waiting for what they prepared for the whole series. And I'm not bragging, but I think if their game plan is to play our game, we know that game pretty well. So, as you can see in Game 2, that was our game plan. That's usually the playstyle of Blacklist International. And they gave us a taste of our own medicine in Game 1. But in Game 2, that's a medicine we're very familiar with.
That's how they bounce back.
Yes, the CEO yang tadi bilang katanya dari anak Blacklist mereka udah persiapannya benar-benar matang, bahkan sangat matang, dan mereka bahkan percaya diri dengan gameplaynya, segalanya udah diberikan. And another question, As a CEO, as the co-owner of Blacklist, you flew here with lots of preparation. How was it?
So for me personally, I had to go through Singapore and then eventually Jakarta because there were no morning flights direct to Jakarta coming from the Philippines. But more than myself, I think I'm very proud of the people around me who really went here, especially our agents who spent so much to come here.
Speaking of agents,
Wow.
we have a super agent right here. She's been following Blacklist International even before M3 followed and flew all the way to MSC and now Jakarta. Tell us where you're from and what your name is.
Hi, I'm from Malaysia and I'm Adora.
Why do you love Blacklist so much?
I love Blacklist so much because their gameplay is solid. I love Oh My Venus.
Queen pose, queen pose. And look at that, she sewed up the shirt herself. And now we have the leader of the agents here in Jakarta. What's your name?
Russia.
Can you show them what you made? Oh, this light stick that everybody is holding, she made this! Okay, gaano katagal yan? How long did that take you to make?
We ordered actually. It was an idea when...
Kala ko naman ginawa nito.
Mahirap yun. We had to cut it kasi. Pero we designed it, we outsourced it, and then we contacted people who can make it.
As a leader, how do you pump them up? What do you do to gather everybody here for support?
Let's go! Blacklist! Break the code! Let's go, Blacklist! Let's go! Let's go, Blacklist! Let's go!
They're so pumped up for the next game to start. So casters, what you got?
Oh, Mara, we got plenty. That was a very energetic session there. Shout outs to all the agents. Shout out to Adora coming in from Malaysia. I came from Malaysia as well. Long trip. But yes, welcome to the caster desk. And very interestingly enough, don't service our own medicine. We know how to take that medicine. It looks like shots been fired. Welcome to the caster desk. My name is Afel. Alongside me is Arashi as well as Leo.
It's a long road to the grand finals, and it's going to go through possibly 5 games. If both teams are this game and this prepared, I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to say, grand finals preview. But as it is, if Echo's pulling out this kind of strategy this early on, who's to say what else is left in the tank, right?
I mean, besides day number 1, number 2 of knockouts, I kind of feel like every best of 5 series has at least gone 4 games. So all 5 games, I wouldn't be surprised.
I think that's, it's at this point you can't really be surprised at the full series because these teams are just so good. It's really down to the wire to see if who is going to pass and continue to the next stage of the tournament.
Pass? Did you just say pass?
He did.
Like, M4 Pass is available now. Complete all active tasks, and you will reach level 75 at ease and for free. Log in now. Exclusive rewards like the Beatrix Light Chaser skin, Stellar Brilliant skin, and M4 Beatrix figurines are waiting for you. Hashtag MLB M4, hashtag Mobile Legends Bang Bang, hashtag Dare to Be Great. And of course, don't forget that M4 Battle Night goes live this January 21. Expect loads of events and rewards up for grabs in-game. First off, complete battle task in the game on January 21 to get a skin, choice, chest, choose whatever you want, and battle points award. Battle bonus awaits you on the same day. Play matches and you'll get team star protection for 3 matches, double star rising points, double protection points, double EXP, and double BP for 5 matches. Free access to all heroes and loads of epic skins will also be available that very day. Save the date, log in to the game on January 21, enjoy the match, and win tons of rewards. Let's all celebrate the M4 Championship together, including with your friends. My friend Leo, you've been doing this a lot. You're more impressive than me. I'm trying and I'm having fun.
It's good.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And what else is good is if Echo bounces back with their own style. Again, as Trike said, that's our strategy, that's our game. We know how to do that best. We've won a world championship doing that. How about something else? So I'm looking at Coach Treb, I'm looking at Coach Tick. What else is in the playbook? Because they're players, again, we mentioned it on this. They're all-stars in their roles, specifically each of them. Now, how can they show that? But, maybe not in Orca Pod style.
Orca Pod style. I mean, in game number 1, it really showed to be very effective. I think it's about having enough solo playmaking potential, right? Not being too team reliant, and also...
Oh, Team Hawk.
Oh.
Team Hawk is there, being ages as well.
Whoa, what's going on here?
Yeah, it's like, wait, camera, go back, camera. Like what? Okay, hold on, what's that? It's a
card.
Oh my Venus. Dude, see,
That's cool.
Malaysia, we love the Philippines,
Serumpun,
man.
bro.
Serumpun. We speak the same language, kind of.
Kind of. Like 40%, 50.
Like Gunting.
Yeah, you bum break the code.
You bum break the code. And with that, we're going into the draft. Game number 3. Leo wants to see something different. He wants to see more explosions coming in from Echo.
Honestly, I think for Echo, they have to get some crowd control, some burst damage, because that is exactly what allowed them to just completely demolish the early game against Blacklist. And in the second game, yes, the team fighting was really good, but unless they can actually make sure that Blacklist sticks around, right? Blacklist is just too clean, too intelligent at the maneuvering, avoiding conflicts when it's not necessary. So now looking at the bans, there's already quite a bit of difference, but that Diggy.
I want to talk about this as well, because you talk about damage, burst damage, and carry is failing like one of the bigger burster damagers in the game. Blacklist, they're betting out Cho. Why is that? Why is it that they don't want to give Cho over to Echo? What are they thinking about that a Cho can counter?
Well, it's not about what they can counter, it's what it puts on the map, what kind of threat it is. And in the hands of the playmaker Yawi, anything is possible. Again, TikTok plays per minute.
TikTok plays per minute. Yeehaw! With the Cho getting banned. So right now, it looks sort of the same, except this time, the Diggy won't be available. Echo answers back with a Faramis to answer to the glue, and then Carl TZ again with the Fredrin.
Now this is a scary situation here. In the previous game, you saw that with the Cult Altar, with the Blessing of the Moon Goddess, Echo was still reliant on the Blazing Duet going full duration. But now, even without the Blazing Duet, the basic attacks alone from Benecutie will be doing a lot of damage. And if they can secure the same kind of sustain, then Blacklist need to find a solution, some kind of crowd control, some kind of nuke damage to ensure that the carry will not just completely steamroll over their team.
Yep, by the looks of things, if this is indeed going to be the pick by Blacklist International, they'll be forced to iterate. But again, that's what they're good at. They innovate and then they iterate. And they lock in the signature pick of the Queen. Oh My Venus Estes is confirmed for Game 3. I don't know though what that might mean for Echo, because now they're forcing, they're forced to respond with some level of burst.
Okay, here's the thing, Leo. You know the players, you know the teams, you know the coaches, you know the management, you know a lot of things. That's why I like you, right? But
thanks.
Oh My Venus right now, picking up the Estes, is this kind of like an ego thing where you're like, Yawi, why are you playing Estes like that? You really want to show me how you do it?
If anything, it's a reverse ego thing. I'm not sure when, but I think in the last couple of nights in an interview, Oh My Venus was asked, why don't you use the Blacklist skin when you use Estes at M4?
That's a good question.
Yeah, and they went, no, I don't want to feel like the champion walking into the stage. I want to earn that title, so I'll use a different skin.
Oh, that's very humble, but it's kind of overshadowed now with the Valir band. So this is very interesting, because if they're betting out the Valir is kind of like pushing people away, so it looks like they want to charge in?
Logically speaking, that is what makes sense. That is the main, you know, the winning decision, the winning factor for a Valir, right? Removing crowd control, having healthy AoE and range and crowd control. So either Blacklist want to go for something mobile, something aggressive to go towards the, you know, just crash towards the whole team of Echo, or they're gonna try and avoid getting clumped together for that big AoE damage.
That's also a deep cut, because Yawi debuted a Rome Valir in the Grand Finals of MPL Philippines Season 10 and won a game in the Grand Finals with that. So I think that's just Blacklist reading into the situation. And if I'm not mistaken, look at this. Who'd have thought that in the last 2 picks, in the last phase of the draft, you're able to flex? We don't know where this Lunox is going.
Yeah, we don't know where the Lunox is going, but Sanford gets the joy. We've seen him on this pick before. He will make sure the back lines will not have a comfortable time. But now, Blacklist, what is the back line? What is Sanford on the joy is going to chase after?
I think it needs to be something with a bit more mobility because otherwise
Matrix?
everyone here can just go in aggressively. If Oheb is an immobile marksman, he's going to get left behind. So something that they can follow up with the rest of the team for sure.
I mean, again, like, this Lunox could go to the gold lane, but right now, since they're hovering marksmen, you know, well, we thought about it. Beatrix, one of the higher win rates, is possible to just pick up here. I mean, if it works, because like our analysts say, if you want to fight guns, then use guns. Carrie's not using a gun, but you get the idea.
Yeah, I don't know where Gideon personally was going with that, but here it is in the hands of the Filipino sniper, signature pick. Game 2 was won off of the back of a very successful Beatrix in the hands of Oheb. So again, the key here is to iterate, not to innovate. Don't change what works. And with that being said, I'm liking the draft for Blacklist. There's a lot between the interaction of the Estes and the Lunox. They can survive so many team fights off the back of just those two alone.
But I think as far as the full team fight, the full-blown 5v5 team fight is concerned, it seems like both these compositions are gonna clash against each other. And for Echo, with a Lolita, with a Faramis and a Fredrin, I feel like there's a lot more possibility for a big crowd control tool. So I think Blacklist needs to be very careful.
Yeah, Blacklist needs to be very, very careful. And with that being said, we're going into game number 3. Blacklist International, Echo. Who will draw first blood?
Oof, I mean, in the early game, I think that Echo still has a lot more aggressive heroes in the pool. Lolita in the early game, deceptively high damage with the Bulwark, right? And then afterwards, having that Joy is definitely something that they will try and abuse.
Yep, and again, the interaction of the Estes and Lunox surviving a lot is countered by the Bulwark because, again, the Lunox is throwing out projectiles that Yawi can block. So that is something Echo can go for. With today's matches, wow, Oh My Venus hit a milestone, 500 total assists in the M series. And V has been part of what? Just 2 so far. Well, 3. V played in M1.
I mean, like, here's the thing. When you're playing a strat like the Uwe strat, that kind of stat is like something that you're expecting. Now, looking at this, Wise invades the jungle of Carl TZ, and now Blacklist International as well as Echo, they're trying to read each other out. They're trying to see where the aggression is. Is Blacklist going to try to get another first blood here in this space of the map?
Oh, they are relentless. They're forcing a response from Carl TZ here, and they're going to get it. But we'll see. This buff, this creep rather, still standing. Wise comes in. Retribution spent.
Ooh, wow. I mean, it seems like Blacklist want to try and get any single piece of lead they can get. And in the XP lane, the glue has been a lot earlier in rotating compared to the Joy. So already a small victory for Edward on that glue pick. And for both teams, right, there's a very limited amount of crowd control. So these high mobility dive heroes are going to have a huge role to play in that mid game. But for now, for Benny at least, he is just focused on scaling because later on, this is the man that everyone is looking towards to try and just deal enough damage to melt through everything, including the Blessing of the Moon Goddess.
You're right, the storms are brewing, but now in the Turtle Pit, Contizi with a massive pull. Here comes Sanford, Edward with a split. Who's he gonna jump down onto? And there's a Numenor Blast, helping Contizi secure the turtle. Down goes King Wise, Edward on the Contizi with the grab, forcing a cult altar from Sanjay. Edward jumps off, flicker as well. They retreat.
Right now, Echo, they're starting the game strong. They're setting the tempo, but looking at Blacklist and trying to see the bigger picture, why they invade, because is it really worth it trying to get that small jungle creep? I kind of feel like it is partly to deny, but even if they don't get it, it's kind of okay because they just want to slow down the rotation coming in from Echo because look at the draft. Blacklist International, they kind of want to wait it out just a little bit.
I think they're trying to make sure that they abuse the early game potential of a Lunox because deceptively, even though Lunox is a late game hero, the early game is just sustainable, good burst damage, and like this, good outplay potential as well to try and save you from sticky situations. And look at Yawi though.
Oh! Sidestep! Numenor Blast! And they put up the Bulwark, forcing an ult from Oh My Venus, but Oheb is gonna fall regardless with Sanford dashing out through the back line. Popping that ult, but it's an overkill. Echo now 1,000 ahead, 3 minutes in.
I mean, they get Oheb though, so is it really an overkill? And Contizi though, go for a solo play, gets Oh My Venus, Echo right now trying to get all the control possible in this early game.
Oh, they put the pedal to the metal because look at Yawi cutting behind this tier 1 turret. There's another fight. Here's Wise sandwiched by 3 members looking for some CC. That's Echo. Oh, they are in too deep. Wise down to a fifth of his health. Pop in the ult. Oh my Venus. Putting them all in shape. Now, there's Aluminum Blast canceled. Edward, the answer. Oh, Wise very low. There's a grab and a pull. Another heal coming in. Edward taken down. Sanji gets the kill, and look at Sanford dashing on through the back line. This is dangerous. This is dangerous. Look at Haji. He's very low as well. Dashing on through using the darkness. And Easy confirms a kill underneath tier 1. It's only 4 minutes in, and Echo's already 2K ahead.
All right, Leo, I'm going to take over. You can like chill for a minute because that was a long fight. To put into perspective how long that fight was, 3 Appraisal's Wrath, 2 Numinum Blasts.
You're counting.
When you have ultimates just like resetting and using it again and again and again, I feel like even the minion creeps, they're like, excuse me, do I not exist to you? Am I a joke?
Calm down, sir, calm down.
Both teams on the mission trying to gain that control. Unfortunately for Blacklist, Echo are the ones controlling unless they can go for a play, but no, that's going to be the total secured. But Yawi tries to go for a play. Unfortunately, it does not land. That is the limitations of a Lolita.
False engage there, close call. Blacklist have been getting better in this 5-minute game so far at reading where Yawi will put it. But still, again, that's what, 2 sidestep Aluminum Blasts that the playmaker set. That's gonna be lethal if it gets him another time. But up top, Oheb gonna get caught here by the Shadow Stampede. And the Storm trumps the Filipino Sniper. Another one up top. But an ult from Oh My Venus puts Carl TZ in a compromised position. Here comes Wise with Divine Judgment on Sanji. Shadow Stampede pulling King Wise in. Securing the kill for Carl TZ. That's 2 up top. None for Blacklist.
I mean, you can tell right now the crowd control, the engage tools available for Echo, there's just so many of them, and you can see a huge contrast from game number 2. Blacklist have no idea who's going to try and make the engage happen, and Echo is taking full advantage of it, trying to confuse Blacklist as much as possible.
Hey, here's the thing. We want the explosiveness from Echo. They delivered. Looking at the items right now, but before that, Echo, are they thinking about engaging again? Nope, never mind. Arashi, looking at the items, is it okay for Blacklist to fight or not? Yeah, because looking at Beatrix, it doesn't look like that's the case.
It's a tough situation because Oheb is has 2 deaths. He's quite behind. And if you look at Kaltizi, he's itemizing for magical defense, understanding that the physical damage source from Blacklist is not on tempo. So Echo is just playing it very, very smart. And on the flip side, Benny Cutie, just off the passive, off the carry, does so much damage to these beefy front lines. So if Blacklist just cannot end the fight quick, it's just too difficult. And despite the buzzing of the Moon Goddess, Echo, as of right now, with a 4K gold lead, have enough damage to melt through all of that.
And what's scary is Blacklist aren't really even that beefy, right? They're squishies with an Estus. So if they stand a little too long and Oh My Venus doesn't pull the trigger on the ult, then all the more it's lethal. Here's a concealed play by Yawi. Who's he gonna find? Luminous Blast right in your face, and it gets canceled. He pulls out. Yawi puts up the bulwark. It's a 4v2 down bottom. Edward gets the grab. Yawi's gonna have to fall here. Off cam though, Carl DZ gets a turtle. Sanji very low. Cold Altar already forced out. A lot of damage from Haji. Wise gets the kill. Finally, Carl DZ in the middle of all 5 members. Here comes Sanford. Can he get somebody redeem those first 2 deaths from Echo? Oh, he's still dancing, but there's way too much help from Blacklist. Wise takes down the young Sanford, and it's just Carl DZ and Sanji left. Benny Cutie a little busy in mid. Appraiser's Rat hitting 2. Knock up from Carl DZ, and now it's Carl DZ who's retreating, and he's very low. Can they get the kill? Edward shuts him down.
Oh, but look at them behind. Benny Cutie goes
Benny Cutie gets a double, takes down King Wise. There's the brilliance from Haji, Sanji, and Benny trying. There's a Numinum Blast from Yawi. Edward pushing him back, and that's a full disengage.
I mean, you say a full disengage, but Echo and Blacklist, they're looking for any reason to go through.
Psych! There's a grab, and a split, pulling him back. Edward knows he can't get the kill on Yawi. Now for reals, that's a disengage.
Honestly, out of nowhere, the carry, Benny Cutie just showed up behind them out of nowhere. Even I missed that due to so much action going on around the whole fight. This is an insane game. But if you look at it, Blacklist is still itemizing for a lot of magical damage, whereas Benny Cutie already at 3 items. So you can see that his damage is something that Blacklist cannot ignore.
I don't speak Tagalog, but if I would use my imagination, I would imagine for both teams, their comms is like, huh? Go? What you want me to go? You want me to engage?
Again?
Okay, I'll engage. I'll engage. Like every single fight is like they're trying to find excuses of actually starting something.
Echo marketing, Blacklist marketing. This is a clear sign that LaFell wants to hear the mic check for this match. All right, now Lord has spawned. Both teams jockeying for position, looking for the pull.
I feel like if Echo can go in together, not one by one like we saw in the previous fight, they have a really good chance of just winning decisively in these team fights due to their gold lead. But now Sanford is the one initiating that play, but look at the blast!
Oh! Yaoi gets 3 underneath it. Oheb with Nibiru's passion, bombs away with Bennett. Cold Alta right on cue from Sanji. Edward very low, Benny Cutie takes him down. Another falls, Wise is down. No rescue for Blacklist International. They're not done. There's a stun onto Haji, and there's a pull. Down he goes. Sanji gets the kill. 3 for none so far. V and Oheb are forced to back out. Lord going over to Echo.
4,000 goal lead, and now Echo is getting themselves a Lord. They're pressuring down at mid. Will they try to get anything at all? Oheb misses the snipe. Right now, Echo, this is what we asked for. We wanted explosiveness, and I kind of feel like this first pick, Frederick, is really paying off. I don't know. If it were me, I'm not letting this Frederick go through again.
I mean, it is still sitting at a very high win rate, but honestly, Benny Cutie, despite all the skills, all the effort Blacklist is throwing at him, still on 0 deaths. The protection coming in from his whole team is just so obnoxious as he is just free hitting in the back, doing a lot of damage, and with that passive, Edward can't even stay for long.
Right now, the Lord is at top. Blacklist International, they're waiting.
Ooh,
if they get engaged.
Divine Judgment on Yaoi. Called Altar Force out of Sanji, but they're still going to continue. Going on blast on the 2. They're going to retreat underneath their tier 1. Lord still alive, less than half health. Blacklist going to clean up house. Could have been lethal, but the world champions defend.
I mean, you can see that for Echo, burst damage isn't exactly what they have to go for. It's for the most part a lot of DPS from Sanford and Benny Cutie. So if Blacklist can just disengage from the long prolonged team fights, I think they can have a good chance in staying in this game. But with that powered waves, Echo is going to try and make sure that they have all lanes under control and they have full coverage on the jungle of Blacklist International.
Right now, I'm just looking at a KDA. Sanford 0-1 and 6, Yaoi 0-1 and 8, Sanji 2-1 and 8. This does show every single fight, everyone's basically involved. And they have a lot of ways to engage. And this is making it very difficult for Blacklist because they want to be able to disengage, but then the focus is everywhere. Who do you really focus on? Sanji, Yaoi, Sanford? You want to focus on Carl Deasy, but he looks nigh indestructible.
They have perfected the Orca Pod strat. This is it. This is their version of the Ube, and it has its own distinct flavor, and I'm here for it.
Look at the item right now. You can see that Sanford has the glowing one, so even more percentage HP damage being chunked out towards Blacklist International. Of course, the Kaja, the Glue, as well as the Estes, these are all ripe targets for the source of damage from the Joy. And you can see that Sanji has built the Necklace of Endurance as well, ensuring that the longer the fight goes, that healing gets less and less. And with an 8K gold lead, I don't even know if they really need that. It's insane.
But looking at this right now, Oheb already having 3 items, I kind of feel like it is definitely comebackable because Beatrix, of course, has been changed like every single patch. And the recent patch right now is that Beatrix is still very strong. It's just like very strong, almost like ultra late game, like 3 items, 4 items. So it's definitely comebackable because they have the damage for it. It's just like, again, like the Orca Pod strategy where you're like overloading the senses of your opponent and be like, what am I really going to do with all of this pressure coming in? Oheb is going to have a difficult time sniping the correct targets because who's the right target?
Yep, and just as we're talking about it, Carl Deasy pulls the Lord. Could happen any minute. Orca Pod versus Ube strat. It could come to a head anytime soon. Lord at less than half its health. Look at where Yaoi is. Look at that big Ube. Blacklist in that purple side jungle. As far as I'm concerned, it's a free lord for Echo.
Yeah, it seems like Blacklist will back away from it. It's just way too risky without any information. That will be a free lord for Echo. Gold lead extending to 10k. And by the way, Benikudi has an Athena shield as well right now. He is covering all bases, ensuring that a shutdown is the last thing possible for Blacklist International.
I feel like that's a very good call because you have to understand the geography of the map because a lot of tight spaces is very good for Echo. A lot of bushes makes it so that at any point of time, a crazy engage could happen. And Blacklist, the way that they can counter-engage is through Wise, is through Edward. Without a proper vision, it is going to be very, very difficult right now. Lord in mid.
Oh, very good defense so far. Wise playing with fire. There's a Lumina Blast with a flicker in by Yawi. Stuns 3 underneath here. 3. That's an inhibitor at jeopardy. And so far, it's dangerous for Echo. Very low. 3 members backing out. Wise looking for someone, looking for anything. And they push back the Orcas.
They went for an aggressive play, trying to just crack open the base of Blacklist International, but against a Beatrix, right? That's such a dangerous maneuver. The Dimmir's Passion just chunked through all their HP bars, and even Benikudi almost gets taken out, and fortunately, they were able to escape with their lives, but that is now something they know cannot be done.
Exactly. 10,000 gold difference, and Blacklist almost killed 3 members of Echo. If that doesn't scream comebackable, I don't know what is. So now it really is evident at 50 minutes in the game. Looking at the items, Blacklist have basically all the damage that they need. They just need to be able to catch Echo slipping.
Exactly, with the Lightning Trojans finished from Haji as well, the Squishier members at least from the side of Echo need to be very careful. And even if you're Carl TZ in the front, we know that Lunox does a lot of damage against tanks as well. So slowly but surely, Blacklist are getting the tools they require to possibly fight back against Echo in these neutral objectives. The question is, how long is it going to take? Because at a 10k gold lead, with the next Lord spawning in 50 seconds, I think it's going to be a bit of a do-or-die situation for both these teams.
Yep, we're about a minute away from this Lord. It's going to be enhanced, but not evolved quite yet, so it will ram into turrets. Thinking about how they can make this comeback maybe all the more convincing, I'm waiting for the KDA machine to get that 5th item. I think that's what's needed here.
Yeah, and okay, so now looking at the map, what Blacklist really need to do is try to establish some kind of map pressure, but they can't do that until Echo shows their face, because going inside bushes, seeing it as how Yaoi has been catching 2 members, 3 members, 4 members, it's really hurting Blacklist now, and that's why we can see they're freezing the lane, kind of making, it's like a reverse freeze where like, we're making it so that everything is here. You guys want more gold? You guys already at 9,000, you want to push it to 10,000? Come here. We need to know where you are so that we can figure out how to contest.
And that's the vision without vision we were talking about the other day, where Echo uses deduction, uses the fact that they're not here, okay, we know for sure that they're in this bush, we can push the advantage. And Blacklist are forced to ube their way out of this comebackable strat. And again, another free lord for Echo.
Free lord for Echo, and honestly, I thought they were going to take over the whole jungle of Blacklist, but they just played a bit more calm and calculated, and you saw earlier, a Holy Crystal has been completed for Sanford, I believe, and that's an even higher amount of burst damage that Blacklist need to contend with, and with the Lord here, there's a chance that Echo can crack open, can split apart this very cohesive unit that Blacklist International have.
I gotta say, this is a very interesting strat, how they're turtling up here, Blacklist International. Like, people watching this, they might be like, oh, they're like giving up. It's like, no, they're not giving up. They're purposely setting up their own waves so that it's at their own favor.
Exactly, it's a counter freeze. Because it was clear that Echo was freezing earlier to deny our utilities and resources, but now Blacklist are on the same page as well. That was a close call. Could have been a pull. It's Wise who's the only one outside his base.
Alone in the jungle against multiple members of Echo, that's a dangerous spot to be playing around with, but maybe Blacklist are trying to use this as a bait. They can go for a big Divine Judgment here if Wise can spot an opportunity.
Oh, that's already 1 inhibitor down in bot. Numenon Blast, confirming the kill, giving it over to Benikudi. That's 1 massive ult away from Echo. How can Blacklist capitalize? They pop Yaoi here, his immortality goes down. top lane inhibitor goes down as well. Edward survives, but only just as Oh My Venus uses the ult to save Agent Zero. Now the base is in jeopardy. Will Echo force their way into Blacklist's base? They're waiting for a wave. Let's see if they can get this. Sanji blasted here by Haji and Oheb. In comes Sanford, going into the back line. Popping the Filipino sniper. The base gonna go down. Echo takes game 3.
The pod of Orcas again overwhelming the senses of Blacklist International, giving them options, giving them pressure. What are you gonna do next? And looks like Blacklist International couldn't answer what Echo is pushing against them. Right now, match point 2-1 in this best of 5.
If our opponents are prepared for our surprise attacks, let's give them so many attacks they have no idea which one to react to. That is the approach that Echo took in game number 3, and it paid off, man. We talked about having enough solo play potential on each of the heroes of Echo, and that is exactly what we saw happen as well. The Joy coming in strong, the carry as well as that Fredrin yet again. It's just so solid, and Blacklist, they just can't maintain enough control to scale into that late game.
And with this, Carl TZ is 1 game away from returning to the grand final stage. 2 years ago, he was in this very same spot. He had to climb through the lower bracket to eventually face the Burmese Ghouls. Now, he's in the upper bracket, 1 game away.
1 game away to seal a grand final slot. Again, it's been an amazing journey. And here, looking back, Echo, the Devourers, the Ube strat, leading the series 2-1. Looking at the excitement here in their own room. They're very happy with the results, but again, 1 more game. It sounds good, but really it is a lot of pressure with this. Blacklist International, they have to make sure that they bring something towards Echo, because game number 1, Echo, game number 2, Blacklist, game number 3, Echo, they're constantly learning within each other. So I want to learn something from our analysts, where you guys have saw the game. Now please tell us, what is it that we need to learn?
Thank you very much, Costas. My name is Jay. Joining me right here is Dave, as well as Gideon, giving you the analyst. But I think the biggest question that we have got to ask, right? Why do they not contest that last Lord?
Well, I think, you know, for Blacklist's position, they understand that it's really difficult to walk up, and they're going to be using more resources than they should. So therefore, let's just play the high ground, and if Oheb is still alive, we got a chance. And that's what I'm assuming. What about you, Dave?
Now, I think about a similar way, right? Blacklist really want to turtle until Oheb, Haji get those power spike, and then they can really fight back. But Echo fought the last fight, fought the push really well. You know, to sync the wave almost perfectly, to have the entire tower push really patiently, and sure enough, it turned out many dividends.
Yeah, and apart from that, right, another point I would like to add on is that you also have a 10k gold lead, a disadvantage against you. So I think the way they're thinking about it, it's a lot easier to defend the high ground, use your turrets as somewhat like an additional damage on towards your opponents if they extend. But what happened to Echo? How did they manage to break through Blacklist?
Well, number 1, we're seeing that Sanford, especially on this join, the EXP lane, getting right into the face of the Beatrix, making it really tough, especially when you have Vengeance available. You just kill yourself unnecessarily.
Now, I gotta mention about that. That's why in this game, I think Blacklist is playing a little bit too passive and too safe, right? Now, we mentioned how much of a threat Sanford on that Joy. So what if when Sanford jumps in with the Joy, we just decisively use that Divine Judgment with the hook into the Oheb damage, actually into the entire team's damage with the Lunox to burst him down, because that's the biggest threat to Blacklist. And for most of the time, Sanford was able to get to the backline for free. You know, there was not too much control to it. It feels like they were a little bit too safe on their engages.
Yeah, I think it's the hard CCs, right, Gideon?
That's exactly what I was going to get at. The hard CC is just really, really powerful. And unfortunately, when we're looking at Blacklist's side, there's nobody who can really force that situation as much as, hey, I have, you know, the Blessing of the Moon Goddess. I'm able to heal up my entire team. If you try to coordinate and layer your ults one on top of each other, Yaoi as well as Sanji has 2 different ways to disengage from a fight. But more importantly so, it feels like Farmus, even though there's so many nerfs to his ult, in this particular game, we're seeing a little bit of that, I don't know, that resurgence. It's his prime time, that golden hour even.
No, I gotta say, Faramis countered Blacklist strategy really well, right? Because Blacklist like the Ube strategy. And when Faramis does best is when people groups up. And that's exactly why this character works so well in this case. And let's take a look at the stats. It seems like OHAB will once again take the carry role with the highest damage deal.
Yeah, and apart from, using Faramis to counter the Ube strat, right? There's also another problem because Blacklist International, they like to clump up together, and that's where the Lolita could just get so much dividends, right? The Luminum Blast going down catches a lot of members with the side of Blacklist International. Sometimes, they get lucky, and that's where, Oh My Venus is expected to heal up.
Well, let's think of it this way. It really comes down to whether Yaoi actually has the flicker. Count the number of fights that they've won and how many times Yaoi used that Numenon Blast with that flicker. And I'm hoping the MVP is exactly who I think it is. It's Benny QT all over again. Man's an absolute beast.
72% kill participation on the carry. Slow and steady. He has 800 gold per minute. I thought obviously Benny Kuti was actually the most farmed in the map, right? If I didn't get it wrong. This guy was farming all throughout the entire game. The 10,000 gold lead for the entire side of Echo mostly went to him.
Yeah, apart from that, right, I think Benny Cutie's superiors, it has the best positioning in all M4, right? Because first of all, you're playing as a carry is very prone to getting burst down, especially you need to get super close. But then you saw suddenly Benny Cutie's positioning extends beyond just team fights. It's about the macro plays as well. You've seen him using this to basically take down, go to the back door, and then you also seen him coming in as a flank. That's not exactly how a marksman usually plays.
Yeah, and also I think carry is such a great pick in this draft, right? Because they'll counter-wise Kaja. When Kaja walks, I think that's the reason why Kaja played a little bit safe in this game, right? Why doesn't he want to go up? Because the existence of carry really farmed. He's able to one-shot the Kaja if Kaja was a little bit of misstep, and you saw it in the last game. Let's take a look at the heat map from Benny QT in the last match.
Yeah, looking at the heat map, immediately you see that his placement, especially from 5 minutes to 10 minutes of the game, is literally all over the place. This, as Leo mentioned on the desk, it's their version of the Ube with a little bit of their own flair to it, and I think we have to keep in mind when we jump into these highlights, just noticing the positions of where everybody is. Sanford jumps into the backline, Benny QT doesn't necessarily have to be part of that fight, and a lot of this is just Carl TZ being that strong front line and making sure the early to mid game will fall into the hands of Echo. But then you start thinking about how does Blacklist actually deal with this situation, because nobody can really walk up into a brush safely not knowing where Benny QT is.
And this is where the highlight, right? Edward absolutely popped off. He was a glue monster, right? He was destroying trampoline through the entire side of Echo. At this point, you really thought Blacklist had a chance to come back in the entire game. But everything turned around in the next team fight, in the next Lord fight, when Joy is able to just run freely through the entire side of Blacklist.
So it feels like, a pick a ban kind of thing, right? Like the fact that Blacklist International, they let the Joy lose, but then again, they got punished badly as because of the matchup. You mentioned that, Gideon, Sanford with the Vengeance, with the late mail as well. As a B6 player myself, I usually kill myself because of that.
It's the worst feeling in the world, but so far I'm feeling really confident here because Echo, it feels like they have a solid plan, great preparation, and I didn't wear their colors for no reason, so I'm glad that they're looking good. However, match point here, it's sweaty.
Yes, it's going to be sweaty, ladies and gentlemen. Just now we saw the super fan running around Blacklist International. We'll be throwing back to Mara and Clara.
Here we go, Echo, what a game! But di sini Bunda tentunya udah ada dari talent Aura Esports yang hadir untuk mendukung Echo Philippines. We have Aura's talent here. The first one is...
Halo semua, udah pasti kenal aku kan? Angie, halo!
Angie, kamu ngedukung siapa Angie?
Aku yang pasti ngedukung Echo dong.
Ada yang spesial ya?
Rahasia.
Nanti kita korek-korek ya. Ada siapa lagi nih?
Halo, aku Alexandra Shirley. Aku talent barunya Aura, guys.
Wow, oke Shirley di sini tentu juga ngedukung Aura, ngedukung Echo ya.
Ngedukung Echo dong.
Gimana ngeliat Echo tadi?
Keren banget, udah pasti menang guys.
Oh, she's sure that Echo will win this time. Kalau kamu?
Halo, aku Adriana Suci. Aku talent Aura.
Ini pertama kali ngelihat atau gimana? Ngelihat Echo gimana sih?
Menurut aku permainannya tadi keren, disiplin juga. Keren deh pokoknya.
You say that his gameplay is really strong and so cool for Echo. What about you? Kira-kira ya, ini skornya bakal berapa sih?
Menurut aku kayaknya sih 3-1 lah ya.
3-1, 3-1 for the prediction for the games. Oke. Dan di sini kamu kan udah bisa ngeliat langsung nih anak-anaknya ada di depan Angie. Yang spesial-spesial tadi nih. Coba dong samain sesuatu, Ji.
Yang penting mainnya asik aja, dibawa have fun, saling kompetitifnya on. Pokoknya the best buat Eko dan Blacklist. Tapi Eko gacor ya.
Oh gacor, Eko do the best and play the best for the game. Apa yang paling kamu suka sih kalau dari Eko?
Varsity-nya ungu, terus tuh ganteng-ganteng juga. Abis itu skillnya juga membuat hatiku berdebar-debar ya.
Wow, the most interesting things from Eko is the jacket and then the skill and also their face. So handsome ya, you guys so handsome. But of course kita bakal cheer bersama-sama untuk Eko, Eko loud, Eko proud. So kita bakal ada special performance for the cheer, Mara.
Oh, we got the cheerleaders up in here. 1, 2, 3, go. Echo! Echo! Join me, everybody. Echo loud. Echo loud. Echo proud. Boom, boom, boom. Casters. Boom, boom, boom to you.
Thank you very much, Mara and Clara. And I could have sworn I not only saw Manjin, but I saw his twin as well.
Yes, the two twins.
Right.
Earlier, it was Hajin. And then that was Manjizi.
Manjizi,
Yes, they're both here.
Yeah, they're both here. I don't know, man. He has so many twins. But yes, welcome to the caster desk with me, Lafel, Arashi, as well as Leo. Leo, I'm sorry, the both of us understand what they were, talking about.
I wasn't picking up the 30-40% that our language shared.
Hey, you know what? Shout out to Clara as well as the beautiful ladies down there, giving cheer towards Echo. Basically, they said like, we love them because they look very good in their varsities. And they're like, wait. Oh, their gameplay as well.
Also.
Yeah.
Also,
It
all right.
took them a while. Yeah, it took them a while. Where it's like, wait, yeah, we like the gameplay as well.
Okay, I picked up on the Tiga Dansatu. I understood that part. And them's fighting words.
Now, let's look at the damage, because between Oheb as well as Benny Cutie, Oheb topped him off a little bit by 5,000, but it really isn't that far. And this kind of shows the game is much more closer than we thought.
I mean, the only issue is that Oheb cannot just output this damage freely. He's constantly being dove upon, having crowd control thrown at him. So if he's able to actually land a huge Nibiru's Passion, we saw it earlier. Multiple members from Echo got very low, and there was a chance for Blacklist International to actually mount a comeback. So it just shows again, right? At this high level, it's never really over until it's really over. Because like you can't count out a team just because you have 10K gold lead.
You're at 10K gold lead.
Hey, thanks, man.
I'm not sure what that means, but you said thanks anyways. I'm pretty sure that if it was up to Blacklist, they would have taken advantage of that moment, Arashi, that you mentioned, wherein 3 or 4 members of Echo were like at 1/4 of their health, and they could have cleaned up house. But I think that's what was lacking in the draft for Game 3, right? Looking at the Blacklist Ube strat employment that they went with, there was very little cleanup. If you're gonna look at it, they move like a turtle, like a fortress, like a moving fortress, right? No one can really clean up in the way that Sanford can for Ube, sorry. Again, these strats are confusing for the Orca Pod, right? Because there was a Joy there, and there was a Faramis, right? In the hands of Sanji, you can flicker in, force an answer with the threat of the Shadow Stampede, and then they go from there. There's so many ways for the Orca Pod to engage, which is the opposite of the Ube strat.
Now we got to look at both Benny Cutie as well as Oheb, because now number 1 in the ranking of total kills, Benny Cutie with 92, almost hitting that 100 kill score, and Oheb 72, number 1 and number 5. And this does show how aggressive really Echo is playing.
The Storm versus the Sniper, 20 kills between them.
I mean, it's not really fair.
Quick
if you look
maths.
at the composition, Benny Cutie has so much coverage, a Lolita, a Faramis. I mean, in the previous game, a Faramis and an Estes, so he can just be a lot more aggressive and rack up these kills compared to Oheb, who is forced to adjust, to watch out for all these, engage tools and avoid them on his own. And I think that's a big part of the success for both these teams right now. They're just so good at the game, so intelligent in their movement. You cannot really get them or catch them out in a tough situation unless you force them to stay there with some crowd control. And you saw that being an issue for Echo in the previous game. And once they have some crowd control, you see Blacklist are the ones that can't clean up.
In the words of the great David Assassin Dave Mao, they're so good at video games.
You're so good at video games.
I wish I was, but that's why I'm a caster. Now going into game 4 here, this could be the end. For Blacklist, I think they need to consider the roles and the delegation of damage between Haji and Hoeb, because I think in game 3, Haji had potential. There was good reason for him to go Ruby DD onto Echo, but they just couldn't find that moment. So I'm hoping that now they put a hero on him like a Farsa or an Eve that can actually get him there.
With that being said, we're starting off the draft. And Arashi, I'm just saying, I'm hoping I see a Fredrin ban and... Fredrin ban.
Fredrin ban, and on the point of Haji on a Farsa, so far it has been banned on every single game by Echo, and now we're seeing it potentially being left open. So we'll have to see, Leo. I think if they do leave that Farsa available, Blacklist will definitely try and capitalize and use that pick to its full potential. But for now, they're just waiting to see. Will Echo take that risk? They will not.
Yeah, Farsa has been banned, but this leaves the carry open. And whenever we go online, you know, Facebook, Twitch, TikTok, and all those other social medias, it's like every single time people are talking about why didn't you ban this hero? Why did you let it go through? Why did you let the carry go through? Where, I mean, ladies and gentlemen, we have a limited slots of ban. Not every single hero can be cancelled out. But moving along, Echo now securing E for themselves, which again, really putting a lot of pressure in mid, in the Riverside. But this carry, will this be the difference maker for Blacklist?
Yep, they're at least confirming one of their damage sources. But looking at Echo, the world is their oyster, right? They got the Eve, so they have their box. What's this other pick here? Is this the Joy, since it is open? Is it going to be a Yuzhong? But instead, whoa! Is this one of the earliest Harrods we've seen in M4?
The earliest Harrod, I feel, because I don't think anyone has first picked it yet. And answering back quickly, they got the Lolita as well as the Valentina.
Aggressive picks from the side of Blacklist as well. And Echo did pick the Harriet in the first drafting phase early, but as a third pick, not the first pick. So it is very early indeed. But keep in mind, in that first game, Benny Cutie was able to pop off in such an insane way on an Harriet in the early game. So Blacklist needs to find some countermeasures quick.
Now, from Tic Tac, Coach Tic Tac, I want to see a Philippine versus Philippine Grand Finals so we can achieve a back-to-back champion from the Philippines. This is his quote, but I don't have to agree. No, I don't want another Philippine, but we're moving forward. The Yuzhong has been picked up, and quickly, the glue has been banned.
Oh, wow, I forgot to mention the glue in the possible first picks for Echo. So this seems to be them showing force, them showing decisiveness, because that Harith did not have to be in that spot.
Oh yeah, no, definitely no. I mean, like, sure, you've seen who you're going up against, but the Harith is not always early pick because there are ways to fight against it. But looking at this, if you're willing to pick it up early, there's two things. Either number one, you kind of don't care. Sure, you can have other heroes, you can have specific heroes that counter me, but at the same time, I can outplay it. Or number two, they have a bigger surprise. And I'm hoping for option number two of why they're picking up the Harith this early.
And actually, Echo are the ones banning away that Joy. I guess with a Harith in their hands, they don't really want two of the same kind of tools for their team composition. But against a Lolita, though, this is a concern, right? Echo has been so decisive and so aggressive. Against a Lolita against an aggressive team just gets, bumped around and gets that Numeron Bless cancelled. So that is something that Blacklist needs to try and keep in mind.
Yeah, and what Blacklist is presenting is the fact that we don't know which hero Wise or Haji is playing still. We don't know where this Valentina is going, but there's already a lot of juicy ults that Valentina can take. In the first phase alone, there's a solid Black Dragon form and a real-world manipulation.
Yeah, right now, because looking at Echo, again, let's talk about how they've been playing so far. Applying too much pressure, applying this over-sensory kind of thing with a black dragon coming towards you. Like, in real life, I'd be afraid.
Rather not, please.
I'd rather not, right? I'm walking, all of a sudden, I'm slowed down by having a cross underneath my feet, and then like in the air, now I got a link to deal with. Again, this looks kind of like a dive and a control kind of comp where you got a control coming in from the Eve as well as the Harif. A lot of slow there, and then a lot of dive coming in from the Yuzong and the Ling. So you do not want to let Echo start things off. You need to find a way to kind of like push them away for a little bit. So now, Barats as well as Lapu Lapu getting picked up. Is this the right answers to what Echo is, you know, showing problems to?
Again, in theory, on paper, it's the same idea, right? 3 very beefy characters with a good source of magic damage and a good source of physical damage. Unfortunately, if you recall the first game, Echo has a very similar composition, and there they were using a Hilda to facilitate their aggression. Now they can use this Grok, so we'll have to see which one's worse, because of course, Blacklist was using a different composition as well. But this is going to be a very dangerous game, man. A lot of danger, a lot of engagement available for both these teams.
That's true, specifically for Echo, because it's so clear what they're trying to do, right? They want to shock and awe. We set up the box. If you want to fight in it, okay, you're lost. If not, we'll chase you down. But Blacklist actually set up a pretty good lineup themselves. You have a Lolita, a carry. It's a lot of good coverage. It's a matter of which heroes Haji can find with the IMU, and then how early Wise can snowball on his signature Barats.
Again, I just want to say this. Indonesian cameraman, you're the Indonesian sniper. Very, very impressive. But yes, we got to look into this game because all the cats like boxes. And we got a few cats here in this game. Number 4. Blacklist going up against Echo. Who will win the fight in the box and who will think outside of the box?
Off the bat, look at the amount of magic shops available for both these, the mystery shops for all these early game heroes, man. Echo for sure wants to try and start snowballing, and in the early stage of the game, you see that Vanicurity also has a Purify, so we're still respecting the potential for Blacklist to strike back with their own crowd control.
I think Blacklist wants to go a little faster this time, and they're showing it via their battle spells and their movements. Look at this, Oh My Venus going ahead and giving a little bit of their peace of mind to Carl TZ, as well as the fact that they have 4 flickers. 4 flickers.
I do agree that they have to push the tempo a little bit. They got to move a little bit faster. But now the question is, where? Do you really want to put pressure into the jungle? And if you do want to put pressure into the jungle, what are you willing to expend? Because right now, Oh My Venus, he's really providing the vision. But I kind of want Haji to get that level 4 a little bit first.
Haji level 4 will definitely be a significant power spike, but the concern is with so many flickers on the side of Blacklist, they don't have a lot of purifies, and they are 2 absolutely solid engage tools in the Black Dragon form with the Petrify Furious Dive, and of course with Yaoi, Flicker, Wild Charge. So once level 4 rolls around, Echo has a chance to just completely shock Blacklist International.
Yep, but it looks like these 4v4s, 5v5s aren't going to happen quite yet, because at least before this first turn, we're about 15 seconds away. Gold Crab going over to Carl TZ here. Sanji spacing out Haji and Edward. Are we going to see a purple delay, or are they just going to make a beeline for this turtle?
I kind of wish that Blacklist does put that pressure there. I just kind of feel like they want Wise to be a little bit more comfortable, get that 15 stacks, maybe off of this fight around the turtle, but in the mid, looks like Wise is
Dennis
there.
Welcome, answered by a Tempest of Blades. Wise put down to about 1/4 of his health. Flicker spent by Yaoi. He's holding on to a Wild Charge. It's going to be for naught.
Wow, he went with a flicker, but he didn't really get anything with that, so it's a bit of a mistake, but Edward goes in 1v4 right now.
Bravest fighter answered by a real world manipulation. Newman on blast. No one home. Edward forced the flicker out. Echo with a clean take for that major objective.
So many things happening at the same time, but still nothing significant just taken by either team.
I mean, like, a lot of boxes were set up, but no one is really taking the bait. And with that being said, looking at the items right now, I'm already looking at Haji. It looks like he wants to be like a scaling kind of Valentina, going for the elegant gem. But right now, Sanji, no mana. It looks like Yaoi will be able to protect him.
You know, I was thinking that maybe Sanji was going to go for a bit of a glowing one early on, considering the amount of high HP members Blacklist have on their roster. But at the same time, with how often he's just casting spells left and right, I guess he really requires the Enchanted Talisman, lest he becomes useless in the middle of a very important team fight.
But looking at the items, I kind of feel like with the Elegant Gem, it might be a situation where he wants to go for a Clock of Destiny Lightning Transient combo, and if he does that, sure, he doesn't have a lot of cooldown to really like spam that Terrify, but because if he does take the ult from Sanji, then his real-world manipulation will hurt because that is burst damage going all over around, and hook damage right now, Sanford getting approached by 2.
Oh, that's a detoness welcome, answered by a bravest fighter, forcing out a Black Dragon form out of bounds. Sanford goes to save himself, and he will get away with it and save himself a death.
In a way, this is what makes Yuzong so much better than a glue, right? It's almost a guaranteed escape unless you get bursted down. So if you want to be oppressive, if you want to have to pull multiple members towards your lane, this Yuzong pick is just so flexible, and later in the team fights, it can be the deterrent they require to ensure that the carry cannot free hit with those very dangerous basic attacks.
I like whoever designed these kind of heroes like the Yuzong, like the Farsa. Their idea is you can't die in the Land of Dawn if you're not in the Land of Dawn. But speaking of which,
that's just logic. Here we go. Real world manipulation. The stolen one from Haji. He is you. I am you. Oh, that's Carl TZ caught out by the Numenon. Blast by Oh My Venus. Helping Wise secure not only first blood, but also the turtle. Clear win for Blacklist.
Yeah, there's a preemptive flicker from Oh My Venus that just catches Carl TZ. What a play, and Blacklist now has some momentum, a 1.2k gold lead, and Echo are the ones now considering how can they play against this because the crowd control is lethal from Blacklist.
It's far from the LaFell threshold, 2k ahead, but can we even call Echo a scaling lineup?
okay, hold on, looking at the drop, kinda, but not really, because they really start getting online by 2 items, so you're not really looking at the 2,000 threshold. You're just like, okay, you got 2 items, you guys feeling comfortable, let's go for it, because we gotta look back like what happened just now, where Oh My Venus has 2050 vision, and I'm talking about the year, not the eyesight. He saw moving forward, this is where Carl TZ is gonna be, so that's where I'm gonna flicker. So with that kind of movement, Blacklist now 1.4k ahead, but concealed play, will they actually go for it?
They set up the box, real world manipulation answered with a wild charge. Oh My Venus in trouble, answers back, threatens the Numenon blast, but falls regardless, and here comes Carl TZ taking down Oheb, 2 for 1. Benny Cutie suffers the trade, but Carl TZ will go ahead and whack away at this turret.
Oheb going in all in to try and just go for a trade there. It was a valiant attempt, but unfortunately not quite enough. And now Echo are able to reduce the gold lead down to 1,000. And with Carl TZ just being so active around the map, he's a constant threat in the back of Blacklist International.
Oh, Haji with the IMU real world manipulation, taking down the ult's owner. And now Wise gonna be very low here. Popped down by Carl TZ. Black Dragon form by Sanford, splitting up the Ube. Now it's on my Venus turn. Wild charge onto the Guardian's barrier. Sanford still in the half. Black Dragon form pushed away by Edward. Flicker in by Oheb, securing the kill for Blacklist.
That is how scary Oheb is. But now Benny Cutie tries to fight.
Zaman Force helping him dash on through, but Oheb gets more than a few pinwheels on him. Sanji goes for the trade. It's 1 for 1 in mid.
It's a back and forth slugfest, and Edward is still sticking around with no HP. What is going on?
Oh My Venus. Void Crystal! Oh! At the most unfortunate moment, but ladies and gentlemen, we need to make sure our athletes get the best experience.
Okay.
Wow,
Calm
man.
down.
We need to calm down. This game.
I'm calm, you calm down.
Yeah, you calm down.
Oh, my bad, all right.
Okay, so speaking of calming down, they weren't calm when Oheb actually arrives, because we gotta see once Oheb comes, it's like, yo, let's everyone back up. Except Benny Cutie is like, nah, I'm going forward. And it's a lot of like trading going back and forth, where they're like, nah, I can outplay this. In that kind of sense, I kind of feel like, oh my goodness, he might be thinking, he's like, how can I outplay this?
Trust me, I can outplay this.
Yeah, famous last words.
But
famous last words.
Came down to a trade. And again, if the margin is that small, I'm not sure like which shot caller wants that trade, right? Whether Oh My Venus or Yaoi are happy to make those sacrifices.
I feel like the more we go into that mid-game, Echo will have a lot more potential. I mean, early on, we see that the Yu Song, right? He comes in, he was able to get the Petrified
Wrong
combo
camera.
onto Haji, but he does not have enough damage. Lafel, keep your head in the game, man.
Hold on. What is that? Kapanya bisa
M4.
M4.
It says M4 date, barang, so like M4 date with someone.
Oh, she wants an
I
M4
couldn't
date
read the
with
rest.
someone. But what I want is to go back into the game where it looks like Oh My Venus was taken down.
There you go. See, I was wondering, like, was it worth it for the shot callers to force this out? Now, Carl TZ a little too late to the party. Gonna go on this wall with Sanford as only support.
Whoa.
Tempest of Blades up, plus a Retribution, but it's not enough. It's Wise who secures it.
That is unfortunate, and I feel like Echo is just trying so hard to just make so many things happen, and Wise just takes the purple just under the nose of Kaltizi.
Second time, Dua. Second time that he stole the purple.
Dua Kali, and now look at this. They're freezing it up. They're already starting it. It's like, okay, that's what you want, and now they want Sanford, and they got it.
It's a lot of damage, and despite how tanky Sanford is on the Dude Song, this carry damage is insane. I thought he was still in the Black Dragon form earlier, but I guess it wasn't. The Luminum Blast just ends his fate there. So now Echo, despite having a snowballing lineup, they are the ones falling back behind, getting closer and closer to that Lafel threshold.
Two things here. The Black Dragon form only really provides you so much extra HP, right? And second, the Orcas are getting the treatment that the King of Kings suffered in the hands of Blacklist just a few nights ago, right? They were doing the same thing, like, I will only take the big buff and leave the little one so that if it does respawn, you don't see it.
Sometimes mercy is not good, man. Showing mercy to the little one is like, I'm not gonna sacrifice you. You didn't ask for this.
Regardless of the size of your opponent, you give your all.
Exactly. Now, Wise getting trapped here.
Oh, Zaman 4 set down by Benny Cutie. Kaltizi waiting at the wings. There's a knock up on the three members. Sanford, though, takes way too many pinwheels from Oheb. And he goes down. Yaoi next in trouble. And Haji with the RWM of his own. Out swiping, out tapping Sanji. That's 2 free kills going over to Blacks International. They're going to convert into this tier 2 in mid, and Wise is going to continue stealing away, choking Kaltizi of his purple buff.
Blacklist already at a 4K gold lead. And look at Wise, man. Echo initiated that fight by using everything onto Wise, and he wasn't even taken below half HP. He's just so ahead right now, and Carl TZ trying to buy some time, trying to make a play happen here, but it's looking bleak for him.
Oh, run, Kyle, run! That's 3 members forced out with Intempo Blades, plus the tail end of the bravest fighter stunning him. He's down to 1/8 of his health, just using all the energy he can. Spotted up by Oheb, and he cancels the recall. He's here, right in the middle of both mid and top lane inhibitors. The Filipino sniper has his man.
Getting closer and closer to the 100 kill. Right now, Blacklist with almost 4,000 gold lead. Edward pushing Yaoi away, and now Blacklist looks like they're getting this Lord for free.
Echo might have to slow this down, even though they're supposed to be the aggressors. They need items right here. Because with a few select items, Sanford can still be a huge menace, can one-shot Oheb, unless of course Oheb has some precautions against that. So I think they have to try and get some small power spikes before they can even use their tools effectively to try and shut down the offense coming in for Blacklist.
Now let's talk about Oheb again. Is now ranked #1, numero uno, numero satu in total kills in M series with 233 kills, just surpassing you guys of 232. Right now, Black Dragon form looking like just trying to push them away. Is he gonna engage? Not yet.
Successful defense by Echo. They're still waiting on a wave from up top. It looks like there's still some left in the tank of Blacklist. Luminum Blast charged up by the Queen. Ooh. Calling it off. Nope, never mind. Wild charge coming in. Yaoi the aggressor. Tempest of Blades knocking up one. Down goes Oheb. Down goes Benny Cutie. Yaoi pays the price. Carl TZ getting on out of here. 2 for 1 so far. Make that a 3 for 1. That's Haji taking down Carl TZ, and the mid lane inhibitor is going to fall. Blacklist pushing the advantage.
4 members available right here, and 3 members still respawning from Echo. Sanji is trying his best to try and delay this, but look at the damage coming in.
Oh, the Terrified keeping this even play. Sanji needs to heal up, and Sanford backing up. Here comes Yaoi. Sanji takes down Edward. Agent Zero is down for now. Echo pushes out Blacklist. They live to see another day. Wild charge plus RWM. making sure that no further damage is done to their base.
Echo right now is really holding on, looking at the items. I'm looking at the heart, already having 3. The Holy Crystal, the Calamity Reaper, it should be enough, but Wise, he's barely taking any damage from Echo.
Oh, Zaman Force plus Black Dragon form. No home for the Numenon Blast. Oh, I'm in trouble. Carl DZ gets him. Wise, the next one on the docket. Carl DZ falls. Wise as well. It's a 2-for-1 so far, and Echo wins this engagement.
Despite everything, Echo actually comes out on top there. They're able to just deny OHAB any chance of participating in the fight. But right now, the real question, the real problem is Haji on that Valentina, man. He is doing a lot of damage because, as Olafel mentioned, he went for the Clock of Destiny Lightning Truncheon and he has a Divine Glaive at this point. So Echo, they can't rest easy just because they take out OHAB. And look at that, engage
though! Oh, the battle for the purple buff! Will Oh My Venus fall for this? The answer is yes! Benny Cutie gets one. Oh, but he falls himself. Haji, the KDA machine is way too farmed up. He steals the wild charge, pushing back the remaining members of Echo.
I was a roaming, but I'm going for this mage role, this mid lane role, just because of how you can really change how you play with the hero just by adjusting the items, because Haji going for a more bursty kind of build, even if you're like kind of tanky, you're kind of like not really all that tanky going up against Haji building this like very aggressive, heavy damage kind of build on this Valentina.
The combination of the 2 different damages from Blacklist is something that Echo needs to try and deal with. Of course, with the more items being built, they can have the option of just stacking physical defense and then bursting down Haji, or vice versa, stacking up some magical defense and bursting down OHAB instead. So options are definitely still available, and with the goal being down to 2K, Echo can still definitely make a game-winning play.
Look at this Orca pod rotation. That's 5 members north of the Lord. Wise and Edward have eyes on them, but I'm not sure if they know how many members exactly. Concealed play, popped in. Can they find him? Haji as well. Steals a real manipulation. Numenon Blast as well. No one home answers back with a wild charge plus Black Dragon farm. The full combo suffered by OHAB. He's the first casualty here. Benny Cutie as well. Haji is godlike. Someone stop the KDA machine. He gets 2 kills. Sanji falls. Now Sanford the only one left. Can Edward finish him? Sanford backing out. Oh My Venus looking for that stun. It's 3 members of Echo left. And Blacklist International, relentless. They want to take down Sanford. He's going to survive. There's a wave here. Can these 3 members of Blacklist finish the job? The answer still in the air. There's one big siege minion here. Numenon Blast set up by Oh My Venus. Wild charge by Haji. It's stolen. No more minions here. Yaoi very low. Can they finish him? Here's another wave up top. Carl DZ doing his best. Tempest ablaze on. Blacklist International retreats.
Woo! What an intense defense from Echo.
Oh, wait, is it a defense? Sanford going in here, Leo.
I'm not done, says Sanford. Oh, but maybe I am. He's very low now. Stunned up by Oh My Venus. Pop with a concussive blast. Oh, maybe he shouldn't have done that. Now he's thinking twice.
I mean, like, here's the thing. We keep talking about there's a line between bravery and stupidity. I'm not saying it's stupid, it's just like, depends on the result. You can call it whatever you want. But speaking of which, Betty Cutie just picked up a very crucial item to make sure that he can survive in the fight. Speaking of which, Lord very low.
Edward with the bravest fighter, compromising Sanji, forcing out a real manipulation. Edward does get him down. Yaoi gets his recall cancelled by Oh My Venus with a blind Numenon Blast. In comes Carl DZ, knocking him up. OHAB secures the Lord. Down goes Carl DZ. This is MVP on MVP violence. Now Yaoi pushed out, and look, a split push down bottom by Benny Cutie. Not tonight, Benny, not tonight.
Not possible, and unfortunately Benny gets taken out, and so does Sanford. It's only Yaoi alone against the full roster of Blacklist International. This might be the end, Leo.
Oh, the writing's on the wall, 2-on-1. Yaoi can't do much here. He's gonna bite it as well. Blacklist International takes us to Game 5.
Absorbing the cheers from the agents, absorbing their energy. I mean, come on. Is there any other way this best of 5 could have gone?
We have a full series on our hands, boys. It all comes down to the final game. Winner takes all between Echo and Blacklist International. And now the stakes are higher than ever. and both teams have had ample time to feel each other and try and see what they want to, how they want to do this in the final game.
How exactly is gonna come down to this best of one? And both teams have pulled out their aces. They've had their aces deal damage to each other, cause violence, get into a Royal Rumble. Carl Teasy and OM pulled out all the stops here in Game 4. And again, did we not see this coming? Did we not see this coming? Of course it had to come down to this.
I mean, M Series MVPs. Now it's Game 5. And look, they were playing while wanting to go to the toilet because he's not going straight to the room. I can't remember who it was like, okay, you go first. I kind of need this.
Yeah, I'll catch
right
up.
now.
It was Edward. I think it was Edward.
All right, so right now looking at the players going back into their room, gotta stay hydrated. And again, it is a very intense match, but I kind of feel like for both teams, they're just like setting each pieces, and once all the pieces are in place, they just push through.
Yeah, Game 4, here was a story of the M-Series MVPs going to battle, right? You tried to give Carl Teasy his old favorites, like the Ling, and then you give like a DPS marksman over to Oheb, and can't help but say, insert that meme where Ken Watanabe from the movie Godzilla 2014 says, let them fight. That's what happened.
Okay.
I mean, it is what happened indeed, man.
Right now with the camera on us, okay? I just want to ask, for those of you who are not surprised we're going to game number 5, raise your hand. There you go. We came in, we understand, it's going to game number 5. And with that being said, we're gonna go over to our analysts where they're gonna tell us a little bit more about what really happened in the game just now.
Yeah, like we have all our hands raised up. Thank you very much, Costas. That was a crazy match. I think I would like to quote LaFell here, right? Like, minions are a joke to them, and it felt a little bit personal, and they're just like, you know, I'm just gonna keep fighting you and keep killing you. It was a slugfest all throughout the whole entire game.
It was a war of attrition. I cannot deny that, but this is one of the few times we're seeing the Echo actually losing their cool towards the later stages of the game, and Blacklist maintained formation, and they regrouped really well.
I gotta say, this is each team outsmarting each other in draft, you know? Just when we see, okay, maybe are we expecting a Steez or Digga game again? We have the Lolita, right? And Oma Venus' biggest strength is shot call. When you put Oma Venus on someone like Lolita, Oma Venus is gonna find the best engage possible, right?
Yeah, like there's a lot of times where you see My Venus sets up really, really well, the Aluminum Blast. It felt like Venus has like the sixth sense to flicker to the right places at the faster time for some weird reason. It's like the sharing unactivated, like what Assassin Dave likes to say. But we're gonna take a look at the item builds very soon. Anything that stands out to you from Gideon?
Well, personally for me, I think nothing really stands out too out of the ordinary. In terms of the item build, it's pretty standard all across the board. So let's talk about the draft in particular, because again, this is where we start to see tanks just struggling against carry once more. It's the same old story. However, this time I feel, you know, Wise, he's not playing the Kaja anymore. He's going on to the Barats, which I always think is good relatively into an assassin like Ling, but it's just so effective. He sits right on top of it, and he lets the rest of his team, and especially Haji, who's super flexible with the way he uses his ultimates, making it tough. It's not even conditioning at this point.
Exactly. There's this one time Yawi wild charges towards Haji. Haji takes his wild charge and wild charge away. That's like one of the many micro plays that we spotted out. We also saw how Blacklist International literally counteracted Benny Cutie's backdoor attempts that could have almost won Echo this particular series.
I think everyone on Blacklist in the last game was a star. The shot call was pretty clear to defend the split push, and also don't give Ohab carry. I mean, this guy is an absolute monster when he plays carry. He saw the aggressive positioning, 1v3 on the top lane, and he gets a kill, he gets a trade. It was absolutely insane. And let's take a look at the team fight participation for both teams.
Yeah, looking at the rich guy right here, Carl Teasy, definitely. Ling just going around farming, but the carry though, it's not Ohab that did most of the damage. Actually, Haji, that's the one doing most of the damage. Sandbag Yawi absorbing as much damage as possible. There you go. But of course, the forgotten one, Oh My Venus, but just take a look at that damage dealt numbers.
It's huge. It's really, really huge. And overall, Echo did start to struggle as soon as we see Oheb scale into his perfect form, as we like to call it, once he has that max items, and both Yawi and as well as Sanford can't really just jump into the backline for free, especially when they have Carl Tizzy, which is expected to connect, but when it doesn't, especially when you have that winsome nature, there's just way too much to deal with, especially when you start thinking about Peel, and of course, I just have to mention it, Haji, once again.
Another person that I would like to highlight from the side of Blacklist International as well, Edward, because Edward just literally went in 1v5 at the very, 1v4 at the very first turtle fight.
And also, he was doing like 1v3 at a blue buff, you know, at a Link's blue buff. It was absolutely insane. I saw Haji finally made his way over there, but he was in there with the ultimate, the bravest warrior, and it was just insane. I was like, how is this guy staying alive? Is staying tanky contagious?
Indeed brave, but MVP goes to Haji.
809.
Well-deserved 809 KDA items. I would say it's completely standard, but it's about the execution. And execution is something that you really cannot see in the stats.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, that's why Haji was really devastating this game, because it felt like when, okay, you've already used the Numenon Blast, they've got nothing left, let's start unleashing hell upon them. Haji is like, nah, give me one of your ults and I will make the difference. And the situation always changes. It feels like Haji is playing extremely optimal in all these types of engagements.
And you can take a look at Haji's item, right? Like, he's being full damage build. And a cooldown reduction in conjunction with that. So this guy's gonna have the ultimate every time he wants to, and deal a lot of burst damage to the backline anytime he wants to as well.
Yeah, I would like to take a look at the heat map as well, especially as Haji. In terms of the rotations in the early game, this is the first 5 minutes. If you notice, it's slightly towards the gold lane for a while, then after that it goes visit down the XP lane. But if you notice, it's hovering mostly around the top side rush.
Yeah, invading, playing aggressive. That's exactly why this is so awesome coming out from the entire side of Blacklist, right? They have the aggressive composition, and they took full advantage of that, led by Oh My Venus Lolita.
Absolutely, and let's not forget that, especially when he goes down to the EXP lane, there's so much influence coming in from Sanford when he has the Black Dragon form. So force it out of him. Put him down so low that he has to use the Black Dragon form to get back out and then go back to the objectives once again. Now with Echo having one powerful engagement tool down the drain.
And not only just that, the fact that you saw the Black Dragon form used to fly out of the map just to avoid defensively is like a little bit understatement right there, but that was pretty hilarious. But let's take a look at the highlights.
Let's take a look at the highlights here. Here's Edward jumping in, flanking on the side. It's like Black is engaged is always on point, right? The positioning. Here we go. Wise does get put to like the extreme here, but everybody else's position is really good. And look at Ohab's flanking position right here, right? On the side, it seems like Wise was in a little awkward position, but it was all planned out from Blacklist. They find a flank and they find a kill.
Yeah, let's also not forget the fact that, you know, in this particular game, we're seeing a different side of Blacklist from previously playing hyper defensively to now actually having, you know, engagement tools to set the tempo against Echo. And I think Echo, in terms of all their preparation, was ready for a defensive play, but instead, Blacklist brought the fight straight to their faces.
Yeah, I really like the point that you pointed out, right? Like, this is a different kind of Blacklist, and
Edward. 1v3, 1v4 actually. That was insane. I thought he was dead.
Yeah. Like Bravest Warrior right into literally, you know, embodying the skill name as well. But apart from that, it's just, you know, Blacklist International bringing a different style onto the Land of Dawn as well. Echo, they were constantly going at each other back and forth, you know, next on each other's throat, trying to snuff out the life of each other, but it is just crazy games coming out from this game number 4.
Now, I know we're all here watching this incredible game, so just want to give a special shout out to all the moderators who are working really hard on live stream. You guys are amazing. Yeah, but next game, one last game that will decide who wins, who walk away, go to the grand finalists, who go to the lower bracket. I cannot wait. Oh my God.
Definitely going to quote Gani right there. Cannot wait. Game number 5, ladies and gentlemen, going to throw it to the casters.
Throw it a little bit too hard there, buddy. You got to slow down. But yeah, game number 4, MVP Haji, the Kada Machine. That was incredible. Welcome.
Kada Machine.
Welcome back to. Did I say that wrong?
I guess.
Welcome back to the caster desk with me, Lapel, Arashi, and the disappointed Leo.
I'm not disappointed. I was just surprised.
I mean, like, because you guys thought KDA, right? Like Kada, the Kada Machine.
shutdown machine.
It sounds okay. Moving on. Game number 5.
It's a thing now.
Basically a best of 1 right now, where the 4 games is just setting up for this last one. This is the last hurrah, the last yeehaw. I think I'm using that last one a little bit incorrect.
The last rodeo?
Yeah, the last one. Yes.
The last yeehaw.
The last yeehaw.
The last battle.
Hanya satu. Only one will be the victor here. Now, looking at the games, it really looks like who is able to establish, except for game number 2 for Blacklist, right? Whoever gets to establish some kind of pressure in the jungle will be the victor just because they have more ways to engage.
And
again,
currently,
except for game number 2.
Currently in the metagame, assassin junglers aren't able to do that as much, right? Again, the fact that in game 4, Blacklist International has given a focus on Carl TZ's Fredrin, Echo had to switch up their game plan. So now, going into game 5, what's that gonna mean? Because suddenly, right, Carl TZ isn't the same assassin main that we've grown and love him to be.
Right, so looking at the damage here, let's put into perspective because the way that Haji built. Now, compare him to the highest damage, Sanji here, 60,000 and 116,000. Almost double the damage, Arashi. And by my calculations, almost double is a lot.
Well, you're right. It's a lot for sure. And I think it's because Sanji was just completely shut down in this game, right? Every time there was a fight, you can see that he was countered by Haji himself. Sanji was countered by Haji, both E's, it's a bit confusing. But aside from that, he was also being jumped on by Edward, by Venus, so Sanji was just not having a good time at all, and he just wasn't able to actually be that decisive crowd control tool for his team. And on the flip side, since everyone has their eyes glued onto Oheb, that is where Haji was able to just get free reign, do whatever the heck he wants in those big fights. And you see the damage, and Lefel already mentioned the build, right? Full damage, full aggression, and only a Winter Truncheon, just in case, right?
If there was something that the Echo lineup for Game 4 was very good at, is possibly finding odd wins from out of nowhere. And I think in the last moments of Game 4, we saw Benny Cutie trying that. But they sent home Edward, Agent Zero cleaned house, and then they turned it around. Now, going into Game 5, given that they've already shown this gambit, again, it only really works once a night, right? You can't force a split push conditioning victory more than once unless the map calls for it. So my suggestion, don't draft for the split push win.
Okay, I'm sitting in the middle. I control the conversation. I decide what we talk about, okay?
You do.
Yeah, we got this thing, but I gotta ask, because I asked for the Fredrin ban, and the Fredrin was banned.
Yep.
Was that a big impact of how that game really transpired?
I think so. I mean, honestly, KarTZ on that Fredrin, we already mentioned the high win rate, but he wasn't just only doing damage, he has also a solid front line. He has good ways to actually secure the neutral objectives. So by denying this Fredrin pick from KarTZ, it actually lowers his flexibility by a lot. And unfortunately for Echo, the option they went with was the Ling. So he was mobile, he has a lot of damage, but it's just not the same situation. And of course, if you are Oheb, it's not, in a way, right? It's not easier to deal with a Ling compared to a Fredrin that's just tanky, doing a lot of damage, and just straight up in your face.
More on the head-to-head between Oheb and Benny Cutie. Let's remember that Harith was first picked as red side.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For possibly a reason that only Coach Tick and Treb and the whole of Echo know. But here it paid off, but only in that split second. But in team fights, I'm not sure if the strengths of a Harith were used to their full potential. At least not in the way Game 4 went out.
The wise man once told me, everything we do in life, it's all about making decisions. Whether the decision is right or wrong, we will have to basically
live with the
I
consequences.
forgot how the quote ended, but basically that you made the choice. You got to deal with the consequences.
Lafel, this conversation sounds like it happened like years ago.
Nah, it just happened quite a few minutes ago before we got coffee.
And
Actually.
you just forgot.
I just forgot. It's one of the FDs. It's like
it happens.
It's an occupational habit, right? You just forget.
Yeah, and now looking at the camera, will she notice? Yeah, she has, and now she's showing the love, showing the heart.
And it seems like a good time because, again, we all knew we were going in here to play 5 games, to watch Blacklist versus Echo. So I just wanted to see, maybe Tennyson Dorsinayan is feeling it. Tennyson Dorsinayan is still with us!
Come on, give me one more time. Let me hear your voice.
All right,
There we go.
Let's hear
There
him.
we go.
Let's hear him. This one's for the Orcas. When I say echo loud, y'all say echo proud. Echo loud. Maybe one more time.
Maybe one more time.
Echo loud. Oh, they're tired.
They're waiting for dinner. And speaking of waiting for dinner, we will not have to wait so much longer because going into draft, again, what a weird time to live in. When I hear an analyst say it's unfortunate that they were forced to pick the Ling. Then I was like, oh man, we don't have any other choice. We have to pick the Ling.
Yeah, no, the numbers game for the Ling overall in M4 just aren't in the books, right? So with that being said, before these teams are forced to pick a certain hero, I think it's due diligence that we also give the same love to Blacklist. Real quick, Blacklist! All right, never mind.
You know what? We need to talk tomorrow on ground to prep it up. But we are now going into the draft. Echo going against Blacklist. Diggy's been banned.
Your teams were relying on you.
You guilt
Or
tripping
actually,
the
please take
audience
over.
now.
I need some time.
All right, so bans aside, it's a very familiar selection here. It's reminiscent of game number 3, actually. Kaja, Cho, as well as the 1-1, and you know the Benedetta, Farsa, and Diggy. But now you can see that for Echo, it's really going a step in the right direction. Part of the issue that why they can't really melt down Wise onto Barat in the previous game is that they were on a Harith, right? Not exactly a hyper carry like a carry. So now that they have it first picked, now it's the time for Blacklist to adjust and try and find solutions for that. But of course, the Lolita has been picked up along with the Joy.
Sorry,
Already,
I need
already
more time.
looking much better for either, right? Yeah, hydrate, stay hydrated. Already looking better for either team, and you could have sworn it was Blacklist in blue and Echo in red, but it's this pick right here that makes you say, oh, yo, that's definitely the M3 World Champions draft in that lineup. Solid first phase for Echo. Carry, Lolita, Joy, and then for Blacklist, this is as solid an Ube as it gets. Eve, Fredrin, and then Estes.
I'm pretty sure this pick and ban has been planned out so well, but the way, like where I'm standing, where I'm sitting, it looks like let's just draft like we don't care, because you already see the Lolita and you're picking up the Estes, so you know you're going to be clumped up together, so the Numinum Blast is a possibility in your future. So now, looking at the draft, for Blacklist International, you almost want to avoid team fights because having the Frederick, the Eve, the Estes, almost unbeatable. And then looking at Echo, having the carry, you really don't care how many armor that they have. And having the Joy, you also don't care who's in the back line. You're going to be able to disrupt that like nobody's business.
I think as long as Echo can provide ample protection for Benny QT right here, it doesn't matter if Oh My Venus sustains the rest of the team. In due time, they will fall to that high DPS in the late game. The concern right now is this is the first time I think we've seen a Yve in the hands of Blacklist. So we've seen Haji perform insanely on that Valentina, but now on the Yve, it's a different approach. But in the right hands, it's still also a huge threat, especially because that real-world manipulation can still be used very much to zone away Benny QT with that short range on the carry.
It's more of now Blacklist is showing Echo this early on that here is the heart of our strategy. How are you going to Orca pod through it? And they give Oheb a solid hero that can take care of himself. And laning-wise, I played this several times in rank. It's okay. I think Brody versus Carry is okay.
I actually like it. I really do, because having Oh My Venus with the S's could heal up the Brody, and then it just becomes a point of once the Brody has 2 items, a Malefic Roar, a Blade of Despair, if you want a cheaper alternative, then you can switch out the Blade of Despair with a Hunter Strike, and with all of that penetration and that raw physical attack, you should have enough damage to potentially kill Benny Cutie.
Teamfight-wise as well, you have to just make sure that there's more left in the tank and you don't break up the Ube, because Sanford is so good at that. They have to watch out. Now they're going to wrap up their whole draft. Echo picks up the Lilia and the Grok.
It's Lilia and Grok, so not as much tanky heroes, but a lot of damage. And this reminds me of game number 3, where Echo were able to get Joy and Carry, and that mixed DPS, magical and physical, was just a lot to deal with. but I think Blacklist want to go head-to-head. They go with the same kind of combination, right? Long-range, physical, and magical. 3 solid front lines.
Now looking at the draft, when I see a Lilia, when I see a Grok, if they have the cojones, they could just be like, I'm gonna clear my lane very fast. It's gonna take a while for my minions to come back to my lane. I might as well just spend time in the jungle. I'm looking at the draft. There is the possibility, the opportunity to forget your laning phase and go to the jungle. We're gonna see if that's gonna happen.
By the looks of things, we're not even sure where that joy is going, right? Carl TZ has, in the world stage, played a jungle Grok, so it'll come down to when we enter the Land of Dawn to confirm and to have expectations.
Now, we finally see the cheers, the roars, and now the final game of the day between Blacklist International going up against Echo.
Whew. Early on, let's take a look at that battle spell. It's going to be Sanford on that Joy, so the very present EXP laner with the Vengeance yet again, and it will be Carl TZ playing that Grok in the jungle. Let's see if this unorthodox pick really pays off. Note though, Edward is going with the sprint, first of all, and Haji has the Impure Rage, so he might just go for something a lot more aggressive.
And there we go. Now we gotta confirm it. Now we have to solidify. Benny Cutie is the first player to reach 100 kills in M4, and now Sanji, HP very, very low. Will he die?
Oh, he does. Haji draws first blood, and I'm not even sure where that purple buff went. But Sanford looking for more, bumps into 4 members of Blacklist, a little too early, too soon for comfort. Blacklist now 500 gold ahead.
This is a Demon Slayer Grok in the jungle, so you have to question what exactly is the plan. Will he go for damage items and abuse the Grok's passive, or will he go full tank and try and be another counter-engage tool as Wise is just oppressively counter-jungling him?
Oh, Appraiser's Wrath sent in. Wise already ahead, very low now. Oh, my Venus needs to heal. King Wise, oh, there's a Guardian's Barrier. Just lacking enough. 1 HP, Wise walks away.
Grandma, look at that 1 HP all across the board. And yeah, you talked about it, Carl TZ here with the Grok. We're gonna look at his itemization, but I kind of feel like the proper way is to build like maybe at least a BOD to have a lot of armor on yourself, and then possibly for the Eve, a Radiant armor, and then after that, you know what, you can do whatever you want, because now, bottom side of the map, Oheb, as well as Benny Cutie, looks like they're not gonna be too aggressive just yet.
And speaking of aggressive, we can see that Benny Cutie is now respecting, understands the stakes right here, has it purified just in case, but fight breaks out.
Oh, there's a setup. Numenor Blast on the 3, plus a wild charge. Carl TZ very low, doing the power of nature, and Wise still gets it. Oh, Echo's a little skittish, while Blacklist pushes them all out with a 4-man rotation. Blacklist owning the first 2 minutes.
Yeah, unfortunate, but Carl TZ used his retribution a little bit early. Now looking at the items, looking at the Grok, just a Molten Essence to be sure that he can stay in the jungle, he can clear a little bit faster. But other than that, is there anything worth talking about here?
I guess for both mid laners, they want to spam spells out, so they're building towards the Enchanted Talisman, which will be a big factor here, because later on, there's going to be a lot of long-distance fights, but you can see that Haji actually has a lot more gold compared to Sanji because of that roam early on that did not pay off, so that's a bit unfortunate. But Blacklist here will be the one controlling the tempo, as Echo is just waiting for an opportunity, I guess, to go for a big fight in the mid game, perhaps once the turtle spawns.
Right now, looking at the emblem setup, so far, so good. Nothing too much to report. Sanford here, being wise. Sanford putting pressure onto Haji. But doesn't look like he could commit too much, but Haji now, 50% HP gone. Down here at the bottom, Yaoi wants to engage, but none is found.
Enough to push them away. Guardian's Barrier set up by Carl TZ. Benny Cutie laying down the pinwheels. Haji spots him. There's some CC from Wise. Oh my Venus slowing them down. Healing up Haji. Echo knows this is not a good spot to disengage. Blacklist starting the Ube down here in the gold lane. What's Echo to do? Another Guardian's Barrier from Carl TZ. Real world manipulation sent in by Haji. Wise confirms a kill onto Sanji. 2 and none so far, 2K ahead. Yaoi's in trouble. Void Crystal set in. Oheb going in behind enemy lines. Yaoi gets taken down. Appraiser's Wrath set in by Wise. Sanford trying to get something back here, dancing around these 3 members. Benny Cutie bites us as well. Edward finds his man. Sanford's in trouble. Oh, the humanity. Blacklist has dominated bottom lane and are now going to convert into Turtle.
Echo just funnel one by one right here, and Cortese now left alone trying to go against 4 people yet again.
Oh, knocked up as well. Forces a wild charge on him. There's a grab by Edward. Can he deal enough damage? The answer gonna be yes. With the help of Haji, Numinum Blast from Yaoi, setting Edward where he needs to be. Wise still on the turtle. Real world manipulation here by Haji. Swiping away, tapping. Gets his man, down goes Sanji. Sanford does shut down Haji though. Too late for that turtle shield, and Oh My Venus could not heal Haji. The KDA machine suffers his first death.
Excuse me, Kada Machine. Right now, Oh My Venus 0-0-7, 100% kill participation. And it's very easy to do that when you're all clumped up together. 5-man, walk down, make sure we're gonna stay here and we're not gonna go home empty-handed. Looking at the items now, Oheb already having that Blade of Despair. That's a lot of damage.
It's big damn, like Nice likes to say. But Haji has rushed the Ice Queen's wand because he has a bit more mana regeneration from the Impure Wrath emblem. So this is why he went for it. It's a more aggressive choice that allows you to have a lot more crowd control, a lot more damage early on in the game. And you can see that it's paying off.
And now Wise is just pushing the advantage again. 3.5K ahead in 5 minutes, that's not easy to achieve, and he's got 4 members on top of him, plus a Numinum Blast, cancelled by Yaoi, Appraiser's Wrath, they oblige, flickering on forward, Oheb finds one, but Yaoi puts up the bulwark at the right time. Oheb in trouble, Oh My Venus heals him up, Carl Dizzy looking for one, Sanji finishes the job. The ult from the Estes, Oh My Venus, not enough to keep the Filipino sniper alive. Can they punish Carl Dizzy? Put the Guardian's barrier, Sanji dropping the shadow energies. Carl Dizzy's gonna fall. Wise takes him down. Edward dancing around Sanford. A lot of damage put on this mid lane tier 1 throughout that skirmish.
Unfortunately for Blacklist though, throughout all this chaotic chain of events, Benny Cutie has not been able to secure a single kill as Sanford once again goes in aggressive.
Oh, they're not done underneath. Tier 1 in mid. Sanford is threatened with a split. Can Edward get him? Agent Zero wants his man. Sanford a little too fast. Oh, almost triggers the grab there before it timed out.
Okay, right now they're being a little bit too aggressive. They're not letting any talking points from any of us. 3.1K gold lead by Blacklist. And I can definitely see right now, looking at how they're moving around, there's a lot of macro plays like, okay, you go here, I go there. We need to secure the turtle. Oh, and we also got to fight. Everyone, make sure you know what you're going to do. But with that being said, Echo, right now it looks like they're being a little bit overwhelmed. Cartesi 0-2-0. Sanji 1-3-1. Blacklist, they're not waiting, they still want to push.
Oh, Sanford, you want to dance? Let's dance, Cartesi. Push in the... What? That's not going to happen. Not like this, says Haji. That was a close call. I think even Echo wasn't ready for that fight. But wait, look! They were looking for a clapback from behind! Benny Cutie shuts down King Wise. Oh My Venus as well, stunned by the Numinum Blast. And here's the punish. Pops the ult, gets the heal, but Benny Cutie still gets the kill. Carl Dizzy survives with 1 HP. OM gets a trade. 1 for 2. A little bit of breathing room for Echo, but it's not done. Sanford pops the Vengeance. A little too much damage there. Edward gets the kill. Yaoi needs to run here. He can't stay for too long.
It's so chaotic, and sometimes the late game marksman can really value from this kind of exchange. But Benny Cutie, we saw that his golden staff was completed at about 7 minutes, so it's quite a bit late, and I think he's not as strong as we would expect him to be. But look at Oheb, so low.
That was so close, but right now Edward moving forward, putting a little bit of pressure onto Sanji. Now Echo, especially how Sanford is playing the Joy, I think they can still fight this one, which, side note, whoever named this hero Joy, I don't know, I kind of feel like it's lie because this is more like a frustration than joy.
Exactly, it's kind of sarcasm, irony, whatever you want to call it. It's just not a joyful experience going up against this Joy.
It's an irony.
It's an irony.
Look at Haji though. That is pain, man. 2 of the ones completed. He has slow and he has that extra bit of DPS coming in, and any kind of tanky member, Kartizi as well as Yawi, will be suffering from that poke damage.
Oh, look at the setup by Yawi. Comes in. Flicker with the Numenon Blast and Benny Cutie shredding wise. He's going to get out of here. Oh my Venus able to get in the heal. Haji goes down. Sanford, mission accomplished. That's 1 man down from Blacklist International, making this Lord a trivial pursuit for Blacklist. I'm not sure if they want this. They're still going. Oh my Venus healing up wise. Blacklist not backing down.
That's a joy for it, because right now Sanford with this Joyfer is really putting too much pressure onto Blacklist because they want to stick together, but the more they stick together, the more they're absorbing a little bit too much damage. Now Carl Teasy is giving a lot of information. No one knows that Yawi is there. Blacklist right now, they're gonna get engaged.
They stun Oheb, and they're gonna knock him up with a wild charge. Benny Cutie gets the kill. Oh my Venus tried. They really did. And now Haji's gonna keep Sanford down. Pops the Vengeance. Another man advantage for Echo. But what do they make of it?
Ooh, it's just so difficult. They can't really fight without Oheb here. He's one of the core damage dealers in this early game on that early game hero, the Brody. He also provides a good deal of crowd control. So without him around, it's just so difficult for Blacklist to try and get a dominant control over the Lord Pit. And Echo, they realize this chance and they're trying to look for another pick.
Conceal.
They get the stun on the Edward. They collapse on him, forcing a split. Guardian's Barrier put up by Carl Teasy. This whole time wise, start of the Lord with the pull. It gets reset.
And right now, look at Sanford. Look at Betty Cutie. This is the ones who are going to make the play happen. Edward dashing forward. Carl Teasy getting damage on Oheb. Fighting!
Torn apart memory, Pop and Carl Teasy, and that gives Blacklist a clear go signal. Yawi with the Numenon Blast, only stunning Agent Zero. Oh my Venus with the ult, healing them up. Haji putting up a barrier. You are not going through the real world manipulation. We will take Lord. All this while, Oheb pushed mid.
Blacklist wastes no time at all, getting the Lord, getting turrets in the same breath as well. On the top side though, that's a huge wave that will take a turret down for Echo. So a silver lining for the Orcas, but they need to find a way to fight in a more reliable fashion.
Is it just me, or is Echo always setting up for a split push win?
I don't know, man, because right now, Blacklist, it looks like they got to have their cake and eat it too. If Echo is really setting up for this potential split, they gotta make sure that 3 or 4 members can hang on to the entire team of Blacklist that is coming down bottom. Looking like they're putting pressure. Yawi's in front.
Real revelation set in by Haji, and there's a split already by Edward breaking them up. Yawi gets pulled in. Lord still swinging away. There's a wild charge, plus a Numenon Blast, but Yawi already bites in. Appraiser's Wrath. Set Caldeezy down low enough for Oheb to finish him off. That's 3v5. Blacks International slowly but surely marching through this bottom lane inhibitor. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not looking good for Echo.
2 members down, they can see they're gonna try and defend their mid base turret, but Blacklist, they're moving so quick and they might still keep going.
Oh no, there's not enough AoE here. Another torn apart memory. Haji pops a real world manipulation. Down goes Sanford. Sanji's gonna fight it as well. Haji takes him down, and Blacklist International is the first Filipino team to confirm a grand finals spot.
Right now, looking in the room, looking inside the stage. This, again, the more we look at it, the more possibility, like, there is a chance back to back champions.
That will be a chance for Blacklist International to make history if it all plays out like you mentioned, Mafel. But man, it was a tough fight against Echo right here, but they come out on top through all the struggles, through all the adaptations, all the confusion. They eventually still reign supreme on the top in the first part of the Grand Finals.
As the line from MPL Philippines Season 8 rap battle goes, most dominant team in the game, watch this. They are so close to, again, breaking even their own records. First team to win an M Series championship coming back to the next year's World Championship. Now, they might even go back to back.
Yeah, and again, Wise is encouraging the crowd. It's like, yeah, come on, cheer for us. The dream is about to not be a dream, about to be reality. Because again, Blacklist now secured first slot in the grand finals. Like, imagine having a situation the worst that can happen is number 2.
Was this a reverse sweep from Blacklist as well?
It was a back and forth. Echo took game 1, Blacklist took game 2. Echo game 3, Blacklist game 4.
It's kind of like a tic-tac-toe, but a weird tic-tac-toe.
That's Echo's
Not really,
coach,
yeah.
but yeah.
Yes. that's the reference I'm trying
Like
to
a
make.
pendulum.
Like a pendulum. I like the way that you say it now. Again, this series, there are no losers. It's just moving forward, right? And right now, Blacklist, they're really charged up. They're really energetic, and who can blame them? Because this has never, never happened. To put into perspective, we never even had previous champions defending their titles. This is the first time. Not only are they defending, but again, it looks like there's an opportunity for them to be the champions. And with this, we got a thrill to the Analyst to talk about this.
Of course, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is the Analyst Desk with me, Jace, Dave, and Gideon. Amazing job by Blacklist International. It's almost back to black for M4 as compared to M3 as well.
Absolutely. Once you go black, it can't go back, unfortunately. Blacklist, now for the very first time in M history, we are seeing a team going for a title defense here at M4. Think about that. No team has done that since.
The first time ever, and they will deserve it, right?
Yes.
Look at the textbook style gameplay. Almost no mistake, flawless gameplay from the entire game. 5-man tower down the bottom side. This is Ube at its best.
Yeah, but we're not going to count out Echo just yet, right? Like the fact that Echo technically pushed Blacklist to a game 5, it could also be the other way. It could be also Blacklist pushing Echo to game number 5. Unfortunately, this is a upper bracket for Echo. They can go through the they have to go through the scenic route.
Yeah, absolutely. They will have to go down to face the Indonesia champion tomorrow. But ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at the build here first between Echo and Blacklist.
Absolutely. I mean, when we're looking at the item list so far, nothing stands out too crazily for now, other than the fact that Call TZ on the Grok jungle. This begs the question, Blacklist, their style of drafting isn't game by game anymore. It's taking into consideration the whole series. We've seen Echo beat the Ube strategy with this Estes before, but Blacklist, right when you think, hey, they're done for, they got nothing left. No, they whip it out one more time and have caught Echo off guard.
And this is exactly what I like about Blacklist International. Like, if you notice that other teams have already moved on to greener pastures, they changed the strategy based on the meta. Blacklist International is like, nope, we were gonna double down on this Ube strategy. This is our brand, and we're pushing this brand to success.
And not only that, this is like the example of the brand. Refrigerant Estes, right? Wow. On top of the Eve. I mean, you can't get better than that for the Ube strategy. Let's take a look at the stats here.
The most important thing that I need to highlight to you guys is damage dealt. Echo did more damage as compared to Blacklist International.
Absolutely, and you can tell based on their lineup, they're expected to do more damage. My main issue here is Blacklist, the way that they target and attack Echo in the draft itself. Take Call TZ out of the equation, put him on a playmaker like Grok, who's not going to be able to scale, but forced to play plays, make plays. Benny QT gets bullied in lane, and they minimize Sanford's effectiveness with a Brody. Just beautifully done.
Yeah, like the problem about going up against a Joy with the Vengeance and the Blade Mail is that and no matter how many times you're going to hit, right, that return damage is going to hurt you a lot. So instead of doing so, what the Brody did is basically, I'm gonna drop a hard hitter, right? I'm gonna hit you as little times possible, but I'm gonna make sure that that hits you hard. And not only just that, the Brody also comes in great as pushing down turrets too.
Yeah, and just to your point, even though Echo did more damage, and that just shows you how tanky the entire Blacklist is, right?
Yes.
With the moving fountain. They're able to be there and take all the damage and not die and return the fire to you. And MVP goes to Edward on the Glue Monster.
Absolutely, just making Glue look so very good. You lock in Joy now, oh, you want to dominate this lane? It's time to show you real domination with glue. You can't beat me in that 1v1 no more. I can push the lanes. I actually have a good chance this time.
And not only just that, right? Edward has shown great results and great performance. Not only just in Game 5, Game 4 as well. We were talking about this just now. Edward went in, goal kill, Ooga Booga, I just want to kill, Hawk Smash, 1v4, 1v3, I don't care, and then trust the whole team to back him up.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, last game, like the Glue Monster was the hope for Blacklist to come back, right? And this game is the exact same way. Edward puts so much pressure on carry, on the entire backline of Echo. Let's take a look at heat map here from 5 minutes to 10 minutes. Obviously start off from the EXP lane and rotate towards the go lane because usually around this time is when you have a lane swap between Marksman and the EXP lane.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think, you know, importantly, as you can see on the heat map, especially from 5 to 10 minutes, proxying the waves become really important. He proxies you really early on, then goes recalls, comes back in towards that mid lane to make sure he can maintain pressure and actually be a part of these bigger team fights, which the Ube strategy just, again, so good when you are 5.
This is basically just the heat map of an Ube strategy, right? Like just appearing together in the middle, walking around the map. Usually you see like EXP laners focusing on their lanes, they only go in the mid, but let's take a look at the MVP highlights.
Yeah, take a look. You will see Edward in almost every team fight, right? It seems like this is the 5-man tower dive on the bottom side, by the way, right? Blacklist, we talked about in the beginning of the entire series, the Oma Venus has a better kill participation because they always rotate together as a team, and that is the character of the Ube strategy. And here we go, one more time. This is a one little setback for them, but it's a bigger setup for the next team fight.
That was basically Edward go kill.
Yeah, Edward go kill. And even if we're talking about like the mid lane synergies, it was pretty much 50-50. So the side lanes had to take a really big part in actually helping out the mid lane afterwards. Usually we're very used to seeing teams play through the mid lane into the side. This was the opposite.
And Edward is so flexible on the character too, right? A lot of time he's the front line, getting vision, getting engaged, harassing his opponents along with the Frederick. And there's so many front lines on top of the Estes heal. It's just way too much tankiness to go through. And even though you're able to do a little bit more damage, but end of the day, Blacklist Hurricane is just a little bit too powerful.
I feel like, personally, what I love about Blacklist International is that they don't need to care about what everybody's doing. As long as I do my things really well, I will do it well. What about you guys in hosts?
They have displayed greatness. And once again, I get to announce Blacklist International heads to the grand finals!
Break the code! And of course, it's like MPLP is repeated again, the same result, but is there any difference in this grand stage Blacklist?
Natalo niyo ulit yung Echo katulad ng Season 10 ng MPL Philippines. Meron ba daw difference in this grand stage na gawin ulit yun?
Kasi pareho kaming PH team, so kaya namin yung bawat isa. Siguro yung Game 1 ay naging gauging kung ano yung pinrepare nila para sa amin and para ma-gauge din namin kung, for example, i-open ba nila yung mga signature heroes namin or magbaban sila out of nowhere or gagamit sila ng mga exotic hero like yung ginawa nila nung MPLS 10. So kailangan talaga namin i-gauge muna. And then yung mga sumunod na games, doon talaga kami nag-all-in.
Now, you were talking about the picks and the bans. I want to ask Oh My Venus, what do you think about not banning your Estes? Still!
I don't know. Maybe it's kind of expected because there's a lot of overpowered heroes right now. And they also have to watch out for Haji Sparsa and Edwards Benedetta. And maybe it's the reason why they lost again.
Oh, once again. So you're sending a message. Perhaps if they want to win, they should ban Estes, the signature hero of Blacklist International. Now, when you saw, when you guys destroyed their base, and it was announced that you're going to the grand finals once again, what went through your mind? Wise, Oheb, Edward, Haji, Coach Juan, Coach Master the Basics.
Ano daw pumapasok sa isip?
Now, once again, you're going to the grand finals.
Ano lang, siyempre sobrang saya kasi first time to para sa amin lahat. Tapos, ayun, may chance na mag back-to-back world champion kami sa Worlds. So, kami pa lang makakagawa nun. Sobrang saya.
So of course they're really happy because they get to become back-to-back, they get to defend their title and become back-to-back champions. But can we pass the mic, because I want to know, when it was announced that you guys are going to the grand finals, what was the first expression that came out of your mouth, Oheb? PG-13.
Yun sobrang saya na meron naman kaming shot na mag back-to-back. Tapos sobrang saya kasi sobrang intense din ng game. Parang sobrang refreshing nung nanalo kami kasi sobrang intense ng laban.
Wow, and is there any message you want to send to your opponent for the grand final? Because we don't know yet, but you already securing the grand final place, but who's the other one? And what message you want to say?
As of now, we don't know who our enemy is, but we wish the best of luck to Echo and hopefully we meet again in the grand finals.
Wow, mereka berharap bakal ketemu lagi sama Eko dan berharap untuk yang terbaik siapapun lawannya tentu untuk a Blacklist International.
But just one last question, and this could be for Venus Wise, Coach Bon Chen, whoever, that to defend the title, how meaningful is it for you? Ano ba dito ang nakasalalay para sa inyo? Gaano ka-importante? How important is it?
This really means a lot to us because there are so many reasons. And also, I think if we will get this M4 World Championship, this will cement the legacy of Blacklist International, and I think we will be the undisputable that the best team that ever built in MLBB history.
The best team ever built in MLBB history.
Wow.
They are trying to build their legacy. Blacklist International goes to the grand finals once again. Congratulations. That was such a powerful performance, Clara.
That's right, and again, Blacklist International will make a history if they can win this. One step closer for Blacklist International.
You know, now we're gonna take a look at the updated bracket and take a look at the journey of how we got here.
Let's go. We have 3 best-of-5 matches today, and it makes lots of drama here.
Now, our RQ Hoshi will go up against Onyx.
That's right, it's Royal Derby International version.
And then whoever wins that will go up against Echo. And Blacklist International is just waiting for the winner for that one.
Yeah.
Now for tomorrow's schedule, our RQ Hoshi will go up against Onyx Esports.
Royal
and for
Derby!
Echo, it is to be announced. Oh my goodness. So now we had 7 straight days of intense action for M4 for our playoffs. What do you think so far, Clara?
It will be super epic because today we just saw like MPL P8, but tomorrow kita bakal melihat gimana kengkulang dari MPL Indonesia, the Royal Derby versi internasional.
This is the time to tell us who your favorite teams are. Write it down in the comment section below. And also, Clara, you know, we want feedback from all of our viewers. We're gonna put up a QR code right at the bottom. Go ahead and scan that. Let us know your feedback and about your M4 experience.
Yes. Scan dan kasih tahu kita gimana experience kalian untuk nonton M4. Ada masukan kah atau ada pesan-pesan? Langsung aja scan barcode yang ada di bawah dan jangan sampai suara kalian tidak terdengar oleh kami di M4.
We thank you for supporting M4, and of course, we also have to thank our sponsors. M4 is powered by Mooton, presented by TikTok, our official content partner, and supported by Secret Lab, our official gaming chair.
We have Esports Charts, our analytical partner, and we have Gang, our official merchandise partner, MeWatch, our media partner, and last but not least, our Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy of the Republic of Indonesia.
You definitely don't want to miss what's going to happen tomorrow. We're gonna find out who's gonna go up against Blacklist International. So keep it here as the teams dare to be great. You're watching Mobile Legends Bang Bang M4 World Championship. Dare to be great. See you tomorrow, everybody.
my time, I'm a ball. I'ma get this money right. I'm gon' live my best life. They been talking, tell me on me, but you know they'll never win. I'm controlling all my victories, and something has gotta give. Cause this is just what I made it now. You can't ever break us down, break us down. I'll be speechless for the stars. Promise I'll be what they not, and I'll never ever stop. Won't never stop. Yeah.
Touch the sky, you're made of silver and gold. Touch the sky, you're the greatest option now. You and I, we can make it out of the crowd. Hang tight, we gonna reach for the greatness. We will always rise, we will never fall. Fire in our eyes, we'll be strong. Even though we know our backs against the wall. Can you take your aim? You know that this is.
I've been down, been waiting so long. I'm here for the crown, I'm here to show off. Greatness time, just waiting to show y'all. This is your time to remember.
So many times I lie in the basement waiting for greatness. No, I won't listen to anyone hating on me, telling me I wouldn't make it. Cause I did everything that they said I couldn't. Caught my footing and I kept the controls. I stand for something, I ain't running now. I'm the greatest now, I just wanna make it proud. Don't let me down, don't let it all fall. I've been on the road, accomplished all of my goals, and I ain't gonna let you down.
Touch the sky, you're made of silver and gold. Touch the sky, you're the greatest option now. You and I, we can make it out of the crowd. Hang tight, we gonna reach for the greatness. We will always rise, we will never fall. Fire in our eyes, we will be strong. Even though we know our backs against the wall. And again, pick your aim, you know that this is.
Coming for the game, cause we ready for the victory.
No,